Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today, and welcome to episode 246 of Defining Duke and Xbox podcast. Good morning, Lord Cognito. How are you this fine morning?
Morning. With the emphasis on morning.
Morning.
I appreciate you. I'm in Road to Tokyo mode. You know what I'm saying? My brethren Addict is here, and he's got the longest trip because he did West Virginia, then to me, in Jersey, and then from us two, to then go to New York City to go get King and Sob, and then all fly together. So this is all preparation for obviously the big trip, in Tokyo, which we fly out on first thing Monday morning. So it's just different stages. Yeah. So
it's getting real. Addict is here. He's in the building.
Yeah, it's getting real. And then it's just like every day, you're like, okay, do I pack this? Do I pack that? And it's a lot of thought involved with this. All the different things behind the scenes and then setting things up. And then also with customs, there's a lot involved with that. Yeah. You got to get this QR code thing situated. They want to know where you're going to be at, how long you're going to be there, what you're doing.
It caught me off guard when I traveled to Canada. I got the mini interrogation. I was like, whoa. I'm here for a hockey tournament, man. She's like, where's your tournament? I'm like,
what's your tournament?
I was like, I don't know. First time here.
Yeah, man. But I'm excited. Then it just seems that each day there seems to be more announcements for Tokyo. RGG said they're going to do some type of showcase. Virtual Fighter going to be there. Like this week, I think Suikoden said something. Every day we see a little bit more news. I'm like, this could be special.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good,
so
good.
I'm hyped, man. But doing good otherwise. How you been, man?
Good. Yeah, we can't say what, but went to a little event yesterday. I know you're going to that today. Good time. Always good getting out, just seeing the people.
I saw a picture of you.
Oh, yeah. I didn't realize. What's so funny is I got grilled for my shirt on the way in. Because I was wearing the enemy's merch on home territory. I wore my away jersey to the home team's game. AKA I walked into a Xbox building with a Sly Cooper t-shirt on. I mean, got some compliments, but they were like, bro, I'm talking like when I walked in, first of all, everyone was like, what are you doing? I said, wow, this rivalry is still very real.
Really?
Still very real. Yeah. I was like, what happened to multi-plat, guys?
What happened to it's over, guys? We're all together.
Yeah. What do I go talk to the social dude who's posting like PlayStation and Xbox together with like writing green and blue hearts? Like, what's going on here? But it's good to get out to the event, nice. Got to see some peeps. That was fun.
That's what's up.
Otherwise, just a lot of work on content, a lot of great games being played right now. Got a lot of exciting stuff to share this week between Borderlands 4 and my beloved Trails in the Sky remake. We will talk about it. But yeah, overall, pretty slow news week, if not for Randall Pitchford's Twitter account there. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, just want to just give a shout out. Last week I said not enough write-ins. Everyone showed up this week. Sofrito Bandito, though,
let's get it.
He had the lead write-in. He said, what's up, Dukes? Just writing in because Maddie was calling us out on the amount of write-ins last week. My write-in won't get right on the show, but Maddie will call us out when we don't have a write-in kind of day. See, it's the thing. I reward you guys. This has a ton of write-ins. If your write-ins are fire, you're in the show. Cog can attest to it. There's just some weeks that some people aren't cooking, That's it. Or the only people who do genuinely get ignored, in all seriousness, if people want to know the method to the madness, if you repeat a question like, hey guys, what game should I get on Game Pass? I'm like, there's a reason we have that segment because that's like one of our most common questions. Right. Unfortunately, respectfully though, you do get the pass. Like we just can't put you in the show because that's why the segment exists. We can't kind of revisit those. But we appreciate everyone who writes in all seriousness. And I love seeing everyone show out because I'm like, wow, they remembered and I did it. I would have completely forgot that I gave you guys shit as a joke about this. So thank you, Sofrito Bandito, and everyone else who wrote in this week. If you're interested in writing in, patreon.com/laststandmedia. You can write into all of our shows. You can write into Summon Sign. You can write into Sacred Symbols, Defining Duke, of course, and Punching Up. Just be part of the show. Happy to have you there. Also get early ad-free access. We, the Dukes, go live on Patreon every Thursday. Otherwise, we'll see you on the free feeds and podcast services everywhere on Sunday. Cog, we have to open up Health is Wealth this week with an interesting one. Give me back my foreskin has the ultimate right in here. Would you rather give up the ability to pee or poop? Basically, you can still eat and drink, but your body no longer needs to pee or poop. He says, I'm giving up pissing. Not quite as satisfying as dropping a thick log and losing 3 pounds. Even with the rough ones, it's always more satisfying than a piss. Give me 30 to 40 minutes discussing which would be better and why. We are men of the people. Yeah, we are men of the people here. Let's oblige, Cog.
Wow.
What are you giving up?
That's interesting because both of these processes are necessary for cleanliness and excretion of things that should toxins in the body.
Yeah.
Whew. If I'm giving up one or two. Now, again, the caveat, it says the body no longer needs to do either. Yeah. So that's tough, man. I mean, I will say this. In my older age, the frequency for urination has increased, which can be annoying, especially that nice, that deep sleep. And you're like, oh, I gotta go. So you don't know about this life. You don't know about this life. Once you get to 40-something, bro, the bladder got its own mind of what it wants to do.
Oh, no.
And that could be frustrating. Yeah, and you're always kind of looking now, all right, what's the proximity to a restroom? How long can I hold out?
I'm already on that type of time, too. So
I'm on a 13-hour flight. Do I have to bother the person next to me to get past them on the flight?
Reserve the aisle seat so that you don't got to do that. Yeah.
So, again, I think, obviously, the healthy option is, as far as you probably do need to poop, right? For sure. But I think for my personal, where I'm at right now, if I had to choose one, I got to be honest, it's peeing because I pee a lot. I drink so much water. And then as a byproduct of me having diverticulitis, you have to drink tons of water all the time. So again, this is perfect world. We need both, ladies and gentlemen. Health as well. We need both. This is just being a magical perfect world. But I think you go the other way.
I am going the other way, dude.
So break it down. You know, pooping,
bro. Yeah, like if I could just get rid of that, I would do anything. I hate the action of it, but dude, there's nothing worse than you're locked in. Oh no! When my intestines start doing backflips, bro.
The bubble guts and the rumble.
Yeah, bro. Like it's an indescribably horrifying feeling. Like when you're just like out and about, driving, living your life, and you're
facts. Like
change your plans, and then because it's your fellow man does not respect the toilet.
Facts.
Emphasis on men. I don't know what the women bathrooms are like. Lady Dukes, please write in.
Talk to
but for us guys, man, like you guys blow it the fuck up and walk out. You don't even wipe probably. I'm doing us a favor by removing the poop because you guys can't take care of yourselves sometimes. It's deeply concerning. So, there's nothing better than walking into a public restroom and seeing like the porcelain clean and you're like, they took care of it here. But there's also the little stressors. It's not even once you find a secure area to drop off the package, right?
Facts.
Like, that's nice. But then the next step is like, what's the lock looking like? Maybe that's just me.
That slit through the
that's the other thing. What's the gap in the stall?
That gap in the stall is dangerous, bro.
Kind of looking through like, yo, anyone done in there? Like that shit. Like I've been hit with that before. I'm like, why are you looking? Why are you looking, man? There's too much of it that just feels like there's a lot of steps here to making sure that that's a secure move. Now at home, obviously you don't even blink. Just go do your thing. But I've never just found a convenient time where I'm like foreskin here. I'm like, I love this.
I love this.
Yeah, it's always packing into my schedule. It's always getting in the way.
Yeah.
But also, I get a little cozy on the porcelain throne. Like, phone gets broken out, book gets broken out.
I'm the same.
Yeah, like I get a little too comfortable there. It'd be good for me, productive for me if I could just get rid of that. I'm an efficient urinator, but not pooper. That's for damn sure. So
that's a good one. That's a good one. I think for me, my science with the pooping is that like I'm a specialty, and like say for example, you're at an airport or you're in some public venue. Of like tracking out, okay, that bathroom got probably the most traffic. No.
Yes.
And I'll try to find like a remote joint. Yeah. Because there's nothing more satisfying when it's like nobody in the joint. Yeah. Like what? And you're like, But the worst to the stressor that you said is like when you get it, you find it, you're like, all right, you're about to settle in, you're about to bang this joint out, right? Ain't nothing much of a stressor when you see the 2 feet walk in.
Yeah.
And then go to the stall next to you.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Dude, yeah. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of social pressure in it all because there is that level. There's sometimes like this shit's, as Cog said many episodes ago, this is about to be like Dolby Atmos levels loud. Like we're about to go. Yes. And like you just got to hold until the dude next to you leaves.
Because you don't want him to hear your full explosion. You don't want him to feel your full power.
And it's so funny because then there's that humbling moment, right? Where like I'm holding until this dude leaves and he's going for it. Bro, and I'm like, do I just join him in unison? Like,
like it's a concert.
Yeah. Like, do we just do this shit together?
That's hilarious.
So yeah, it's just as you can see, it's a social pressure. It's not really the action.
It is a social
the action
pressure.
itself is fine, but there's a lot of it's an unpredictability, and I don't like unpredictable. I like peeing. You know what you're gonna get every time.
And last thing, you ever had those ones where you got the automatic sensor stall, right? Oh. And then like you ain't even finished your wiping, and it's like, dude, shit. And I'm like, bro. Yeah. And then you ever had it when you now ready to go, and then the sensor don't want to go off, or the button don't want to work?
Yeah, I'm like waving my hand.
And you waving the hand, and you like, bro, like I'm not going to do this to the next person. Like, please. Yeah.
But that's the thing. There are some dudes who just walk. I've had it where a dude walks past me, doesn't even touch the sink, and I go to walk in there, and I just see the toilet loaded up, and
bro,
I'm like, bro, you just disrespecting me something fierce. Like,
and the dudes who they aim is all over the place, and you like, how you leave a seat like that, bro?
Yeah,
like you ain't even look behind you. Like that's nasty work.
Yeah. I do judge the people who walk out without washing their hands, or the dudes who I literally see water their hands. That's a common trick
with no soap.
Yeah, no soap. I see dudes just rinse their hands. I'm like, what do you think water does? You just rinse your hands off. Like, are you just dusting the poop particles off? Like, bacteria or anything? I watch these dudes do it just, especially at like sports games. They're like, yeah, back to the game. I'm like, whoa.
Nasty work.
Yeah, don't shake my hand, please.
Don't shake my hand, fam.
Foreskin, great writing.
Good.
All right. Aaron Shepard. Hey, Dukes, health is wealth, writer. And what's your favorite way to get hyped for the gym? I'm a trail and ultra runner. While I live in the mountains of Western North Carolina, I have to use the treadmill more to get my mileage while working a full-time job and raising a family. Recently, I've been watching Hadi Abdul's workout videos. I'm sorry if I said that name wrong. While running, and it gets me through the speed workouts better than anything. What say you? God, what's the get hype moment for you?
Bro, easy for me. New game soundtrack. Once I remember when Metaphor dropped. Bro, when your man with your I was like, I can't wait to train to this. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Like, to me, anytime new game comes out, I rush right over to Spotify or whatever, get that soundtrack queued up, have my favorite track because I remember exactly what I was doing on that boss or whatever. It puts me in a place. You know? Yeah. So that's definitely that one. We've always talked about, a new fit, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. So, me, I'm addicted to merch.
Yeah.
So, I come through, I destroyed the Sega Shinobi store. Like, I single-handedly kept the company in business. Like, I got every single tank and shirt. I made it a mission. There will be no Shinobi merch that I have not purchased or seen.
That's me right here, bro.
Oh, that's fine.
Anytime I see the KOTOR stuff, it's like I'm on it. I've seen just random sites pop up with like 2 or 3 shirts. I'm like, I got them all. Like,
yeah, bro.
I have not missed.
Bro, I'm with you. So the thing that had me was when they did the Sega did the and Shinobi did the collabo with Wu-Tang and Young Dirty Bastard, and they got the track and then the tank in it, bro. That tank is fire. I see people in the gym looking at, yo, what's that? He's like, it's a new Wu-Tang. I was like, nah, that's from the new Sega Shinobi game. Go check that out.
Oh, you do a little marketing.
Oh yeah, I do marketing all the time. Yeah. So I know a lot of people who are now getting back into games because they see me and they ask me questions about the fit while I'm working out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's been music lately. Like that's the thing I look forward to most. It's funny. I've kind of gotten into a little bit of a flow where I'm listening to what I jokingly call normal people music. Like I've really been enjoying that lately. And I think it's because I've realized it kind of balances out my brain a little bit because I'm always in game mode. So just getting out of game mode has been just exciting to get back into game mode once I'm done for like an hour or something like that. But yeah, like I've just been really getting into just some of the new music coming out. Like I've always been a 21 Pilots fan. Like actually, that's like one of my claims to fame. Like I was a fan of them before they blew up. Like which is
flannel
moment. Flannel moment for sure. But like I'm happy that they blew up because they're really good. But it was definitely like a rare moment. I've never had that moment with any other band where I was like on them before they like started their come up. Like I think they had like 10K followers on Twitter.
Wow.
And I heard Car Radio and I was like, oh damn, they're fire. And I've listened to their whole first album and I was hooked from there. But they just had a new album come out called Breach, and I think it's really good. There's only like
Pilots, you said? I never heard these guys.
21 Pilots. Oh, they're huge. You definitely heard their stuff before. Like they're they did stuff for Suicide Squad. They did stuff for Arcane.
The Contract. They got a joint called The Contract.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that song is so fucking good. Yeah, they just have a very unique style, in my opinion. But you've definitely heard the "I'm a sucker for pain." Wait, is that them? I think that's them.
Okay.
Or is that? Am I mixing it up? I can't remember now. This got me on edge now.
Stressed out, ride.
Oh no! Imagine Dragons is "Sucker for Pain." No, who am I thinking of?
Oh, don't say that around Chris.
Yeah, no, I know. I just Chris just broke into a cold sweat. I forgot what they did, but they did for Suicide Squad. But you've definitely heard their stuff before. They're like super popular now.
Yeah,
but their new album is really good, and I don't know. I guess like I've kind of entered that flow where when new music hits, it's just been putting me in a good space where I want to just go exercise, and it kind of improves my mood. Like I'm just becoming a normie in that way, I think. But it's cool. It's cool. Nice. So yeah, for me, it's been music, Aaron. Like it's just that's kind of what's been firing me up because I think Cog and I share that where you have that moment of like your brain just puts you in this spot that you once were, and that just motivates you. And so yeah, music's been huge for me. I also when we were talking about the thrift store stuff. On Summon Sign earlier this week, which everyone give a listen. Great episode.
Yes, great episode. Shout out to Brett.
I guess I'm developing lore. I saw some of the comments chatting, and it was funny. Like someone was like, first all the kids who wanted like their last copy of Astrobot were not safe from Maddie. Now he's cleaning out the thrift stores. And I'm just like, I'm building up this lore as being the guy who's just coming in and like taking from the needy.
The needy.
But I love thrift stores, man. They're so fun to shop at. Like I don't shop. I don't put this say it's like if you shop at like PacSun or whatever. Like I'm putting myself above y'all. Like I'm just saying I don't really shop at like traditional stores anymore. I find the kind of hunting and the antique searching of thrift stores to be the treasure hunting, if you will. It just is really fun, and you find some gems that I've never ever expected to see. Famously, as I've told Cog about a million times, my Bulls jersey that was
clean.
That was very like, well, that was like to me the selling point. I was like, if I ever need to sell someone on thrifting and why you go and do it, it's like I got probably this like $100 item for 30. And it was really cool, and it was an exciting find. I have this like attachment to it. It's awesome. Yes. So yeah, man. Like I just I think finding like how expensive dry fits can be, sweatpants can be. Like these sweatpants I'm wearing right now. These Champion sweatpants. Like I got them brand spanking new from Savers. Like they were. They had the tag on them and everything, and they were like $8 or I forgot what it was. Like, yeah, and you can see the actual price tag on there still. So yeah, I don't know. Like you just find people who just donate these crazy things, and
that's dope.
So I get excited about like wearing new clothes to the gym too. But sometimes, like as someone who used to shop at Gymshark, which Oh God, I love their clothes so much. But they're bread, bro. They are a lot of money.
A lot of bread.
Yeah. So like I remember like $50 or $60 for a pair of sweatpants. Like, you know, I love to donate stuff too. So like I try not to overconsume. So I'm trying to like cycle my stuff out. So sometimes when I'm like getting ready for the new season, like we're getting ready for a little cold season. That's why I bought some sweats and I found these new champion ones. I'm like, okay, I could see myself running in these. I could, you know, see myself hitting the treadmill, getting the home weight setup with the bench. It's like, okay, I got the vision. So thrifting, Aaron. That's my other answer. Thrifting.
That's what's up. I like that.
Highly recommend the LSM audience check out a little thrifting. Don't be scared. I know it sounds gross, but just throw that shit in the dryer, throw that or the washing machine in the dryer. Brand new.
I come from that. Yeah, my grandma put my mom onto it and put us onto it. And yeah, you'll get gems. You'll find stuff. It's really cool.
I think the thing that'll surprise people, because when I first thought of thrifting, when my wife showed it to me, I was like, oh, it's going to be dusty, dainty.
Old.
And I've been in those stores and yeah, like I walk away. I'm just like, no, this ain't for me. But like when you get to a good one where it's just like, you'll be surprised. People just donate shit they just don't want. And a lot of it's like brand new. So you're just saving a lot of money. You get some really good, unique stuff. It's very cool. And you also get to see like, there's stories behind each shirt.
The stories. Yeah. You can
like,
see.
Oh, this is an interesting one. All right. Next one here is from JPZ890. Ahoy, Grand Dukes. I'm finally able to write a follow-up from my wedding that I wrote in about 3 weeks ago. The day was absolutely perfect and the happiest day of my life. I took Maddie's advice to heart and made sure to enjoy every moment, as this is something I only want to do once. At first, I was stressing over if guests got their food or wine, but quickly relaxed when I saw the best man and maid of honor took care of everything. A huge tip of the hat for them and their help through this 2-year-long process. Yeah, bro, weddings can be very stressful, long-term process. So good to hear on that. To any of our LSM fam about to get married, remember to enjoy the big day to its fullest, but also enjoy the time leading up to it. It's a special time that I hope all of you get to experience with that special someone. Thank you, Dukes, for the advice and for helping me calm my nerves. Listening to DD before leaving for the ceremony put my mind at ease. Keep up the great work and have a cog bends to one me at Ohio when kind of day.
I see what you're doing. I do love Ohio, though. I do love Ohio.
Yes, sir.
I gotta come back. No, that's dope, man. Salute. You got the perfect situation. Listen to Lil D, get the mind at ease. Look, man, it's your special day. That's awesome, man. Congratulations to you. And I like what he said in reference to how he said like his best man, because I could get like that where I'm worried about everyone else when the moment is supposed to be about you.
Yeah.
And he's like, nah, my best man got that.
Yeah.
And I was able to, so it's always good to have people who you could count on during those moments that have your best interest. But you're the man of experience, man. Talk to him.
Well, no, I'm glad it worked out. I'm honored that we were like forefront of your mind before your big day and that we gave you something that settled you down a little bit there. I'm glad you were able to let go of the anxiety of the moment, because it can be like, dude, we had a very small, intimate wedding and I was still very nervous. Like it's a good thing though. Like I mentioned, it means you care and like you're making the right choice at the end of the day, right? Because your nerves are in the right place. I guess is what I would say. But there is a little bit of relief. Like, okay, like we're married. Like not it's over, but like it's okay. Like next step. Like now we're like truly together as a couple, and that's an exciting period too. Like the post wedding glow and whatnot. Mine was firmly shut down by Dragon Age of Veilguard's review process. that was a little bit under a month later after I got married. But that shit after that wedding was awesome, man. So enjoy that glow as well. But yeah, I'm just happy to hear it. And this is why we do Health is Wealth. It's important to talk with the people. May not be for everybody, but I think it's important just because of just having that connection and just being able to settle some people. So we're happy to kind of be able to chip in where we can when it makes sense. So just thank you, JP, for writing in, for trusting us and being part of the LSM fam. We appreciate you and your write-ins.
Salute.
Raisins are next one. Salutations, Dukes. I write in with a health as wealth concerning anxiety. I, like many others, suffer from anxiety and the occasional panic attack. I was wondering if you or anyone else in the LSM community suffer from anxiety. My anxiety recently has been on high alert. Just general life things and recent events have spiked it. Normally, I kind of sit at a constant 4 or 5, but I feel my anxiety getting worse. Generally speaking, it peaks at the end of the day. I feel my anxiety coming on sooner throughout the day, though. So what tips or tricks do you have to help me deal with anxiety. A good routine, quality sleep does help me. I'm looking forward to the sage advice of the Dukes. All right, Cog, let's help out Raisin here. A little payback for all those great write-ins he's been giving us lately.
Yeah, man. Anxiety's tough because it gets the heart pounding. You know, you can't sleep. You're thinking about different things.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's tough, man. I mean, the thing I think for me is a combination of things. Like, obviously, I always try to put myself in kind of a better mood, or like actually surprisingly like watching funny things, you know what I'm saying? Like comedy and stuff like that, just to kind of remind myself, have some fun. Life is too short. Laugh, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that laughter helps, man, for me. Like that you can go through the worst thing and, you know, you see something funny and then just even for that split second or whatever it is, you forget about all the stressors. As far as sleeping, I gotta shout out my man. Hold on, I want to find his name because he actually put me on to something. I was having a little part. Shout out to my man. There you go. My man Pete. Peter. He's on. He's now over on Blue Sky. He used to be. He's LSM though, and he was putting me on to magnesium cyclinate, and magnesium cyclinate really helps with just not necessarily anxiety. You know what I'm saying, but getting off to better sleep. And it's not like a sleep medication. It's just a natural supplement.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm like, yo, you know what? I had a lot of anxiety recently, and I was just like, I've been not dropping off to sleep easy. You know, you do your tossing and turning. And I was like, let me try this. So I actually tried it, and I shot him out. I'm like, bro, the last 2 weeks I've been dropping off no problem. I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. So yeah.
Little magnesium, yeah.
I'm late to this. So I was like, it's something.
I take it for my migraines, but yeah, it's an incredible supplement. It really is.
So like you're already up on it. Okay.
Yeah. It helps with sleep for sure. No doubt about that. I take mine during the day because when I don't, I get really bad migraines that just like it's funny when I start to like, you know, if I forget for a couple of days, all of a sudden, like you just feel the forces creeping in. I'm like, why does my head hurt so fucking bad? And then I realize, like it's an incredible, it's good for the brain, dude. So
I realized all the good properties of it. And bro, ever since I've been on it and I did my research, kind of like this one, like very pure, not a lot of additives, whatever. And magnesium cyclinate, man, I definitely co-sign. I'm seeing real time effects.
Yeah. You know, this, obviously we're not doctors, but
we're not doctors.
Yeah, of course we're not doctors. But I always recommend talking to a doctor about the benefits of certain vitamins. Like I've talked about turmeric. Like I'm the biggest marketer for turmeric. Like,
turmeric gang.
I've been on that anti-inflammation gang for a while, and just, you know, there are certain ones that can help. Like there was one time, I mean, I've gone through like depression and whatnot, but like there was one time I thought I was depressed or anxious when I actually had like a vitamin D deficiency. Oh, wow. So, you know, I started taking a vitamin D supplement. My energy levels were back. Excitement was coming back. I was like, whoa, this is fucking crazy, bro. So, you know, check the, you know, go talk to a doctor, see if you can get the blood levels checked. Like there's a couple of ways, you know, we don't need to get in the hypochondriac wave because I've been there, not pushing you down that lane, Raisin, but, you know, there are things that you can check beyond just general, I guess, mental wellness, right? Talking to someone, those things, exercise, really underrated one.
Bro. Big one. Big one.
I know. Cog's the biggest co-sign of that one.
Oh, hell yeah. Listen, I remember I told you the trick was like, if you see me at my biggest, it's usually there's a lot going on stress-wise or some form of depression or anxiety, right? Yeah. So, bro, there's nothing better than, like I said, good workout, good cardio. You push yourself while you're in that gym, get all the stressors out, right? Whatever you're going through, you take it out in that gym. And then when you come back, your body is just so naturally, especially after a good meal, is just ready now to go to bed. It doesn't have time to be anxious because you pushed yourself and the body wants to recover. That is actually one of my go-tos as well, naturally.
100%, because you fight through a pain effectively. And so your brain starts focusing on overcoming that pain is how I try to describe it. Like when you're lifting weights and it's like, you know, one more rep, like your brain goes there. Or when you're running and you're gassed, but you know, you just got a few more meters, miles, whatever to go. Like, you know, it's those things that your brain starts to focus on and you start to realize. I think the biggest victory over anxiety, at least how my brain worked it out, was like, when I'm not thinking about it and then I realize I haven't been thinking about it. When you realize you're like, oh, I just went like X hours without thinking about my anxiety. Oh, I can beat this thing. I didn't even think about it until this moment. And it was just kind of like an observation. That always helped me. Hobbies, of course, help. Sometimes, gaming is a huge one, of course, but sometimes that stuff, like, you're too anxious to game, and I've been there before, and so finding outlets beyond gaming helps a lot. For me, being creative is a really big one now. Like, it's very much, it absorbs me, it takes me away. It's funny because my work gives me a lot of anxiety, and so it's this vicious cycle of like indulging in it to get rid of it, if you will, and then coming back to it. You know, like, I love making game reviews. Then there's the night before the game review drops where I'm like, oh God, drops. Okay, recycle. And like, you just keep repeating that. So I don't think anyone else, like, listening, I shouldn't say anyone else, but I think mine's a very unique situation. So most people indulging in that kind of creative outlet probably won't have the issues I'm talking about if they're doing it for themselves.
I get that.
So maybe these help you, Raisin. Last thing I'll just throw out there is redefining what happiness can be. I had trouble with that. I didn't understand what happiness was, and then I read the most important book in my life. It's called Flow. I've been a big advocate of this book for a while. It's a shortish read. It's just under 300 pages, and it's about the definition of happiness and in what form is a human the happiness and happiest. Sorry, and you've likely heard the term flow state many times before. And it's effectively all about that, like what gets you into a flow state, which I'll define in a second, but also when you're there, is that the happiest state you're in? And the book argues that's the case, and I really agree with the mindset the book has. Like, if you want to know my definition of happiness, go read Flow. Like,
is it this one, The Psychology of the Optimal Experience? That
yes.
One?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I just cannot recommend it enough, because as someone who like, I see people around me growing up, or when I was online, like YouTubers, like smiling, vlogging their lives, and I never felt that way. I felt happiness in a very different way. Like, I felt happiness when I would sit down to work. I felt happiness, obviously, with my family and friends, of course, but like, I felt it just felt very differently. Like, I experienced it. It was like when I was coming out of something, I was like, whoa, that was great. Right. But I never understood that about myself. And when I read this book, it's like all became clear, because it's about, like, again, the argument they make, this is a rough paraphrasing of it, but one of the arguments they use is like, who's the happier individual? Like, is it the guy who's focused on scrubbing his boat clean, and he's just very immersed in, power wash simulating his boat, just getting every nook and cranny clean, and he's just very immersed in that task? Or the extremely rich individual who's just like sitting on his chair, looking out into nothing, just nothing to do. And it's like, which is the happier experience? It's like, well, yeah, you have more money, less problems, right? But like, you're not happy. You're just doing nothing.
That's what you said.
And it's very thought provoking. Again, I'm paraphrasing roughly, because it's been a decent amount since I've read the book, but it's brilliant. I think it really shaped my anxiety, because I went through like I still deal with it, but I know how to deal with it now. But I went through like a multi-year battle of like constant panic attacks and anxiety attacks, and just fucking terrible, bro.
Worst.
And I didn't find sometimes people's words comforting of like, we can beat this, you can beat this, because in that moment when you're experiencing anxiety, it doesn't feel beatable. Like, that's the thing. You're like, holy shit, this thing completely overtook me. So I found, again, redefining my version of happiness and really coming to an understanding of myself, or other forms of happiness at the very least, was really, really key for me. Because when I'm in my flow state, I mean, that's where I'm always at. Like, it becomes a part of all my facets of life. Like, it started with my work. Like, I just would realize I'd get really into my scripts for when I did script my videos for YouTube. And then I'd like really get into the editing process, and like, I'd blink, I'd be like, wow, I was enjoying myself so much. And like, so much time flew by, and like, I was happy there. Was I like smiling at my keyboard? No, but like, what was I feeling inside? I was feeling this continuous satisfaction, this drive. And then you start to realize that kind of focus gets honed into different parts when you're having an important conversation with someone you care deeply about. And it's like a very meaningful, uplifting talk. Like, I'm not sitting there maybe cheesing the whole time, but that means so much to me. and you realize like that's a flow state.
That's
So
a state, yeah.
it's a great book. I even if it doesn't do what to you what it does to me, it might help in just kind of directing your thoughts on how to recapture that feeling of joy. It's again brilliant. It's a very cheap book at under $10.
Yes, I'm looking at it right now. I'm about to pick it up. Yeah, super cheap.
Yeah. Audiobooks available, I believe, too.
Paperback's like $9 and they got the audiobook and all that.
Yeah, it's a quick read, so do like 20 pages a day, you'll be done in like 10 days or something like that. Like it's quick. So hope you're doing well, Raise, and hope this helps. All right, next one is from Mr. Scott If You're Nasty. Mr. Mushroom Matty and the soon-to-be bastard maker in Japan, Lord Cognito. This one's for Matty. What made you want to do more interview content? Is this part of the evolution of what you'd like to be and the never stop changing ethos of a content creator? Or was this always where you envisioned going? Either way, I'm enjoying it and look forward to the next one, which hasn't dropped as of writing this. Yes, it's we're a couple days away, I think. Have a Shinobi took my breath away kind of day. What a fucking game. There we go. Cog spreading the good word.
I love when I see that. Like I said, it gives me joy.
Yeah, dude. It's awesome to see it like on top,
Yeah.
Just doing well.
Bro, there's nothing more satisfying than something that you love passionately that no one knows about and people are learning about it for the first time. And you're like, oh, that's dope. That's dope.
I agree.
Interview, man.
Yeah, this is okay. So I'll walk everyone through the mental process I'm going through right now. We're scaling up our game, right? And when game development stuff gets, like as effectively a studio head, I don't like to use these titles, but that's my job. Like, I lean on others around me a ton, but like, effectively that's my title, and that comes with a lot of managerial stuff. That comes with a lot of creative stuff, and it's really fulfilling and fun. And you don't want to put all your eggs in like one basket and be like, okay, once this pops off, I'm out of this bitch. Like, I find it extremely important to be making YouTube videos, making podcasts. Like, I'm not walking away from any of that, even if our game does extremely well, because I think there's a very key importance, not for the sake of like, although it is a level of, I guess I put in quotes, marketability, but I think there's an importance of being there,
right?
Being reachable, being able to talk, being able to connect, being able to see what people are saying weekly, like it has informed so much of our game, not just like we're reacting to everything people are saying, but like you study trends and you start to look at like where your game is at versus what people are experiencing. And while you put a game on like a road, there are like, you're going towards this destination, there are little turns you can make that sort of adjust to the climate a bit, where it's like, maybe we axe this, or do we want to do this like this? Just little design changes here or there. So I think it's really important to just be keyed in, because it's like, at the end of the day, these do get set on a certain path years in advance. Like, I don't know what's going to happen in the year that we're planning to release it. So you're kind of doing the best you can. But I say all this to say, I find it very important to be part of the conversation. So in that, I'm trying to also be a little bit forward thinking in, hey, when these duties scale up on my end, what can I do that's, when I say easy to make, I hope that doesn't come across lazy, but what can I do that I think I'm very good at, that I think provides value for my audience and the industry at large, that would be content I enjoy and that we could put together pretty consistently, even if it's a little bit out of my hands. And interviews are the first thing I thought of, because I've never really leveraged my platform for interviews ever before, as people know. Like, the most I've done was Ham Radio Podcast, when that was at the time a purely Bethesda show, and we were bringing on the voice actors of the entire Fallout 4 cast, and like that was really cool. Like there was some like high view count interviews there. It was like awesome to see when we brought Brian T. Delaney on, that people connected with him so much, and just kind of being the bridge for that connection brings me a lot of joy. But also now, what I want to do is leverage some of the experience I have as a developer and talk to these other developers. And part of it's like, I have so much to learn still, but a little bit of a measuring stick for myself. Like, can I keep up with these guys, these gals? Can I? And it seems like to some extent I can. They're obviously, in case like a Fargo or who I just interviewed recently, like everyone, like they're way ahead of me. Don't get me wrong, but like, just can I make this interesting for them? Can I get these crevices that other interviewers can? And it's been 100% feedback on their end, usually privately shared, because I don't think they want to be disrespectful, but it's been a lot of like dude, like that was a great conversation because I don't get to talk about these things often. So I wanted to leverage it for the people I'm speaking to, because what I've noticed is these devs talk and there's more people who want to do it because they hear the good word of Mr. Matty. And so it's snowballed a little bit, but it's been just a combination of trying to have some foresight of like where the project's going, what it could turn into, you know, beyond just game one, my goals with the team and sort of the priority I want to make there, while keeping, you know, I'm trying to figure out like, how do you keep YouTube active even while running a studio full time? If that's the situation I find myself in, interviews would be a big part of it. I think more video essays and thought pieces, which are things I'm working on now, are other ways I can do it. Like more premeditated stuff rather than reactive stuff. Obviously, you know me, like KOTOR Remake, trailer drops, Fallout news drops.
You already know.
Yeah, like, you know, I'm going to be there. It's just so deeply ingrained in who I am to share that with people. And I think honestly, for me, not enough game developers are just fans. And so I don't ever want to lose that part of myself where, because I start to create, I can't talk about how good I think a story is or can't review a game. I just don't agree with that mindset. I get it's a little taboo. I understand why some developers keep their mouths shut on current games and don't critique them hard. Again, it's a small industry, like, and no doubt, like, we've been the benefit of like, I've had to ask people I've talked to already for help with certain things, like people we're trying to hire and stuff, like, hey, can you point us in a direction for this thing we're looking for? And you know, sure, I'm sure there's a level of like, well, he's an asshole, he said this about my game, and you run that risk. But I just think there's an importance of being in that conversation with your audience, that there's no level created that's like you're above them, you know, because I think a lot of developers have tried to do that. And I think meeting your audience in the middle and being kind to them and sharing meaningful content with them is the way forward. So I'm just trying to think of ways to do that feel sustainable. So this has been a little experiment, you know, not like a never ending run, because obviously these interviews are only as useful as the availability of the guests that want to come on the show. But that's kind of the thought process, you know, like, it's not like I always envisioned myself doing this. It's more like I saw a really good opportunity to do this beyond Todd. You know, Todd was the dream interview. Like that was a goal of mine.
That was fine.
And then I started to, I mean, I'll be transparent. I started to push for Phil. I obviously, I have been up Xbox's ass for years about Phil. But I don't, I don't think it's going to happen ever. I'd be so surprised if this fucking guy shows up. So that's fine. So I think my brain got settled into that. I was like, because that was the expectation. It was like, you got to talk to Phil. And I was like, okay, like, I'll try. But then I started to think, well, what if I tried to talk to people beyond that? Other people in the industry, other figureheads, other noteworthy people, up and comers, that sort of thing. Yeah. And what if I could start to turn my platform into a place where you know, it's like, I think a little bit like how I used to, I haven't listened to him in a couple months now, but Lex Friedman, someone I think of a little bit, where like,
Lex is good.
Like where you just, I'm here because I know I'm going to like the conversation. I don't know who the hell he's talking to half the time, right? Like, until I see the episode, I'm like, I've never heard of this person. But he asks such great questions, and he just clearly studies up on his subject, that hearing the person he's interviewing talk with such informed questions is very entertaining and intriguing and educational to me. They did an episode one time about AI where they brought in like two different specialists and kind of talked about the future of it. It was just like, I was taking notes while listening, as I was like, this is so fascinating. So informative. So I thought about that a little bit, just that kind of approach where if I can try to bring on some big dogs, so then if I bring on lesser known names, if people know like, well, Maddie's a host to great conversations, I'm going to check this out. That would be fantastic. So that's if you're talking long term, the thought process there. But I try not to science my content too much. Like, I do like to be the ability to be here like weekly, and so I know that requires a little less premeditation and more just like, you know, what's happening. Let's talk about it. But as time goes on, and how, you know, audiences are, I don't know, I kind of fallen a little bit out of love with the news cycle and the recurring like chasing a trend and being on top of things. I do want to if there is any other goal part of this, Mr. Scott, it's the ability to create your own success without depending on where the news cycle is, which is something I've long put off. I have a lot of growth to do for sure. Like I talked to a couple of YouTubers I really respect about directions I'm thinking about going in, and they kind of feel I'm on the right path, but they kind of made some suggestions on to help grow. Mm-hmm. And so I'm trying to think of ways to do that on my own, because the channels I watch are usually the ones that are not beholden to news cycles, because they're usually doing something a little bit different.
Right.
And
I got you.
I have a lot of creative bones in my body that I don't get to express because I'm always just talking about news. And so I just want to be able to do a little bit more of that. So interviews are like one part of keeping it consistent for me, where I know I can do this no matter what happens with my situation, with the game studio. So, again, I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket where I'm like, okay, I'm out of here the second I can be, because that's not where my head's at. Just how can I keep this sustainable long term?
Long term. No, I love it.
All right. Well, Cog, that's health as well. Thank you, everyone, for your write-ins. Let's talk with the audience a bit about games.
Yeah.
Rich writes in, Dragon Quest VII, ready for another 100-hour time sink. Hey, Dukes. This is mainly for Maddie per his Nintendo Direct follow-up video saying he needs education on Dragon Quest VII. So I appreciate this. Thank you for listening. He says, being vague to avoid spoilers, but it is a great game, though not for all. It's very hardcore, a 100-hour slow burn. It is also possibly, the darkest game in the series theme-wise. The original also had a few different story outcomes depending on choices. Dragon Quest VIII is the darling of the series due to the anime look of the game, though not to the degree of Dragon Quest XI. But 7 should not be overlooked. Dragon Quest VIII will likely be remastered to look like Dragon Quest XI. I love the graphic choice they made for 7 Reimagined, a more modern look that pays tribute to the original look and designs by Toriyama. While I rarely purchase games day one anymore, as I wait for physical sales or Game Pass drops, this will be a day one physical PS5 purchase for me, as it should be all on the disc. Hope you have a yes, I am capable of making a non-negative post kind of day. Thank you, Rich.
I like that.
Love it. We love it. Yeah. Thank you, Rich. I appreciate the info here. I will say, seeing a 100-hour journey, if 100 Line has taught me anything, I do need to be a little more selective with that. Just a little bit more selective with that, because I have such a big heart, Cog. This problem. I have such a big heart, and this month has been a perfect example of why that's a problem. I am playing Cronos. I am playing Hell Is Us. I am playing Borderlands. I am playing Trails. I want to play Sonic Racing. I want to play Silent Hill F all in 1 month. It's impossible, but my brain does these gymnastics where I'm like, if I put this much time in per day, and it never works out this way, but bro, I just can't help myself. So when I see 100 hours, I immediately get spooked, because I say this as I'm trying to finish KCD 2. I'm just like, oh boy. Because I've just noticed that it's so easy when the month gets busy to get pulled off of that project, or game, and go work on something else. And there's part of it's the benefit of I shouldn't rush this. But then when I get into that flow, we see what happens with KCD 2. I get into this flow where I'm like, oh, I shouldn't rush this. Well, now you've taken your time. That's for sure.
Here we are.
It's September. And because gaming is a flow thing, right? As I was talking about earlier, the flow state. I got into my last Defense Academy flow and put 90 hours in a month. I fucking beat the hell out of that game. I loved it. But it took me away from everything. It was a vacuum.
Yeah, bro. There's soul stealers. You got to commit, or if you don't, you understand. If you do commit, you understand what that encompasses, right? Which is not being able to do much of anything else. Yeah, but for some people, you don't want to mess up that flow state if you're in this kind of nirvana-like state, really enjoying it. It's a tough one, man. It really is. I totally get that. And I see those Dragon Quest games. I'm like, it look dope. But man, I don't know if I got another hundo. That's a lot.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. That's a scary commitment. But also, I say it only hesitantly because I've not been sold fully on Dragon Quest yet. Okay. I'm open to it. I think I would love it because I love Toriyama's art style, of course, as a huge Dragon Ball fan. But I do struggle with Dragon Quest a little bit. I have yet to fall in love with it beyond Dragon Quest Builders 2, which is because I think the series is incredibly cozy, and Dragon Quest Builders 2 leaned into that fully. But playing slow, methodical JRPGs with cozy, happy vibes. Like I mean, look at my favorite media, guys. Like y'all know I love dark-hearted stuff. I love when characters die. I love.
He did say dark though. I gotta
Yeah,
give credit.
I just like Dragon Quest Dark. Again, follow up with this because like Dragon Quest Dark, I have question marks about that. What is Dragon Quest Dark? Without spoiling, like is it like, oh no, the villain appeared and burned down a town that I knew like 2 NPCs in, like, or is it like, oh shit, this character I cared about just got gutted and turned into a villain? I don't know. Like,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like y'all know how I roll.
What's the layers of the darkness?
Yeah, absolutely. Because like darkest game in the series theme wise could be interesting. I'd love to learn a little bit more. DQ8 has been on my backlog for a while, so we'll see about that. I did enjoy Dragon Quest 3, but it also felt very old, and that's what I struggle a bit with Dragon Quest is its gameplay systems are very classic, which isn't bad. Just I do think turn-based combat's moved beyond that, So with that cog, we move to Brett Lindstrom. Says, hey boys, writing in regarding the discussion about RE5 remake from last week. Like you said, Maddie, they definitely set up 5 at the end of RE4 remake, but I'm here to pitch a different take that you probably haven't thought about, and that is correct. That's why you're here on the show. The way they tease RE5 is with Ada at the end of RE4 remake, but Ada is not in RE5 at all. Given the negative response to 5 and 6, wouldn't it be cool if they now rewrote, with a capital RE, the story from here on out, while keeping the remake of 5 have what was at its core, the co-op. Except this time, you play as not Chris and Sheva, but Leon and Ada. I know this is a long shot, but it could be a really creative way of getting around all the controversy of a potential 5 remake in regards to setting, the enemies, etc. Let me know what you think and have a shitty day. Thank you, Brett. Brett, you pose an interesting scenario here. I will say, I see where you're coming from here, because Chris is like established character. Like I think taking him out would be problematic.
Yes.
Sheva was not supposed to be your co-op companion. I forgot who it was supposed to be. It might have been Jill originally. I forgot who it was supposed to be, but she was a last minute addition, which is why she has like 0 character development. So I do think there is a level of plausibility to your theory, Brett. Like that is a really good idea that you could get around Sheva being forced into the game. I mean, also you could improve Sheva. There is that option there. Because she looks cool. Like I like her energy. Just she doesn't have much interesting stuff to do. She literally is a vector for co-op plays. Like, and she's there to make the levels work. If they remake it fully top to bottom and rewrite the story, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough for me to bite into that, because the way the story progresses in 5 and its locations, like that's all driven by the current narrative. So do you get rid of like the turret sections? Do you get rid of like the swamp sections? Do you like, what do you keep? What do you get rid of there? How does I forgot what they're called. I think they're called like the liquors, but like, how do you get around like those little set pieces? If like you change the whole story, like the way that all builds up, I think is wonderful. So it's tough, Brett. I think you have a good idea here, but I also feel like tweaking RE5 around the fan criticism, bit of a double-edged sword, because I strongly believe, as much as people complain about RE5, I think just as many people love it, like me. And I do think changing it, like getting rid of the Chris Redfield boulder punch, because you wanted to put Leon in there. Like, it's
Chris
just
go get back.
Like you gotta make this guy still feel like a bit of a superhero.
Bro, and there's, not to cut you, but there's a lot of the Leon Chris rivalry and Resident Evil fandom is real. Like I got, give my man, shout out to my man Jay, Mr. Ha. He's a huge Chris Redfield dude. So I believe, like, we would be beefing like, no, yeah, man, he whacked him. He'd be like, oh, my man punched the boulder. What's up? Like it's that kind of energy. We'd be like, well, we all know who the real person behind the series. It's Leon. Like, it's so I in fairness to Chris gang, like Redfield, like they gonna want him untouched and not removed. Even though I would be mad Leon and Ada came through.
No,
you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Ada Wong. You know what I'm saying? But I gotta respect Chris gang on it. That this day.
Yeah, they gotta give it to Chris. It makes sense for his story. I just think if you change his co-op partner, Again, like who would it be? Maybe they go back to the original as it was supposed to be. It'd be interesting to see because they do have options with this one. I will admit, and I wouldn't hate if they exercise their free will and were like, yeah, let's just fucking change this thing and like see how it goes. Because if you're going to remake 6 afterwards, that's the tough one because 6 is, for all its flaws, is incredibly ambitious. There's tons of playable characters. It's a full like 20 plus hour co-op story, and each different character has different play styles. You know, Leon's a little bit more of the traditional Resident Evil, but Chris is more of like a third person shooter. It's like, do you keep the campaigns that way? Like that requires more of the rethinking and rewriting. Especially the rewriting, but do you take away, like RE6 is very endearing for its explosiveness, and it's not like they've ignored these games to my understanding with like future entries, you know. So I don't know. It's a good theory, Brett. It's got my brain spinning, which is good. But yeah, I'm curious to see what they do with 5 one way or another. All right. So next one here, does Bethesda still have it? Let's talk about it. Johnny Questicles has the write-in. Hey, guys. I recently fired up Fallout 3 on the PS3, no less, for the first time in probably 12 years, and boy, howdy, does this game still hold up. The step-out moment, the dark humor, the choices. The graphics obviously look aged, but it kind of lends itself to the look of the wasteland. I agree. I was loving it so much, I decided to give Fallout 4 another go as well, and it made me play the game on the Portal while I watch football. Playing these two simultaneously has me wondering, does Bethesda still have it in them to match a Fallout 3 or Skyrim? And if not, is it us, the audience, who changed, or just the industry in general? You guys rock. Have a I want to believe everything is okay, but I'm a Bears fan kind of day.
Yeah, bro. I gotta holler at my boy Ray in Chicago. What's going on with y'all, bro? What's up? The Bears.
I feel bad for Cincinnati too.
They lost Burrow.
Yeah. My brother was just telling me when we were driving to the Mets game, he's like, yeah, I'm feeling good. He's like, I drafted Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. I'm like, nice. Like, that's a great combo.
Yeah.
Out for the season, basically.
For the season, pretty much, right? A couple of weeks. Is this for the season now? Damn.
Well, it was 3 months, and people were like, it should just be the season, bro.
Yeah,
like,
damn, bro.
I feel bad. He's so good.
You know who's the... I hate to laugh at anyone's pain, but you know, like when we go through Met stuff, like you know who is the funniest follow with anything Bengals?
Who?
Brad Sams.
Really?
Follow Brad Sams on a Sunday. And every other tweet is, oh no, here we go. Of course. Like it's that energy. Like you can tell he is a suffering Bengals fan. And I sit there like, I know this energy. Look at this. I know what these tweets mean. And it's very simple. If you don't have the context, you wouldn't know what he's talking about, but it's all during the course of a Bengals game. I'm like, bro. And then I'm like, bro, I saw the Burrow. I was like, damn. I feel for you. One of my guys had him on his fantasy team. And he's just like, this is the life, Cog. This is the life.
Yeah. It's tough, bro.
It's tough. But back on point, we talk about Bethesda, right? What we talking?
Yeah, I mean, does Bethesda still have it in them to match Fallout 3 or Skyrim? Tough to say. Their priorities have changed a lot since then. Is it us, the audience? No. At least if Starfield is anything to go by, no. 76, no. Fallout 4, maybe a touch. As in, like, I don't think Bethesda veered as hard with Fallout 4 as people claim they did. But that's just a personal disagreement because I have a higher opinion of Fallout 4 than most. Do I think it's still the near perfect game when I played it when I was 18? No. But do I think that the game was like harshly criticized? Yeah, definitely. Like I do think the game received a lot of flack for, I mean, it's disappointing as a Fallout game in a lot of ways, but I do think it received a lot of flack for something it was never trying to be. But I also get that kind of comes with the territory. Like if you have the Fallout branding, there are expectations, and that game really shaped the Fallout conversation eventually in a healthy direction. Yeah. And then 76 in turn, because now we'll just take any single player Fallout game. Yes. But I have many thoughts on this, but Kag, I actually want to hear from you first because, for me, obviously, like I can go on about this, but I think you'll have the more interesting thoughts here because you come from a different school of thought with Bethesda than I. So I'd love to hear from you on this.
Yeah, as you know, I'm more of the Elder Scrolls guy, but I'll start with Fallout first. Fallout 3 was my introduction to the series. I was very hesitant I remember hating on the game. I remember seeing it. I'm like, it's so drab. It looks so green. It's like, and obviously it's toxic waste. I get that. But like, I remember I just didn't get the hype at first of just seeing it and stuff like that. And then I finally played it, and I remember falling completely in love with it. I remember, like you said, the step out moments. I remember, what is it? We're the tunnel snakes, pal, or whatever the hell those guys were, the little gang inside or whatever. And, and I remember Special. I was just like, oh, this is really cool. But where it really clicked for me was just seeing VATS for the first time. And the brutality of it, and I was just like, man, this is dope. And then, of course, Super Mutants, the Lincoln, doing the Independence, the Declaration of Independence, like all crazy, bro. And I was like, yo, this is DC in a world where, you know what I mean? So just seeing choice of cars. So Fallout for sure. I agree. 4 disconnected me. I don't feel it was bad, but I remember the voice protagonist threw me a little bit, and I was like, okay. And I remember having a conversation with Attic, and was just like, man, they went away a little bit from, certain core sensibilities with certain things, right?
Yeah.
But not that it was a bad game. The game looked fantastic. But again, if I'm talking about from a hardcore purist perspective, I can understand how some were a little disappointed. Now we get to Elder Scrolls, which is where I, fell in love with them completely. And obviously Morrowind was just a little too complex for me, but I remember how ambitious it was. I was working at shout out to Albert Einstein College of Medicine. There was a doctor there. He put me on to Morrowind. He both had Xbox, and he was like, "This is the greatest game on Xbox." I was like, "This?" I was like, "Okay." And I looked at it, I was like, "Okay." And he's telling me all the things you could do with it. And I was just like, "This is amazing!" Like, wow. But Oblivion was where it really came full circle for me, and I'm just like, okay, I can see my character. You got the third person, first person, the choices. Any action you do becomes, do a repeatable action becomes something that you level up in the game. I remember seeing the crime system for the first time and just like, yo, halt, who goes in? What are you doing? Like, what? You can steal? There's consequences? You go to jail? Like, just the free flowing of dungeons and the open world and what's in the, sky space was super dope. And then Skyrim comes, and we already know what happens there. And that soundtrack hits, you got the spells and some Ra. What's all that stuff there? Fus Roda and all that. Boom. There you go. You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, okay, this is pinnacle, right? This is what it is. Did all DLC. So then we go from here. So now in both series, I would say with Starfield, yes, if you want to compare that to it does not compare to the greatness of Skyrim. We know that, right? So you can say that is a slip, right? You could say Fallout 4 is a slight slip, right? And then we forget the elephant in the room, what 76, how it initially launched, right? And you go, what's going on here? You know what I'm saying? And all the iterations. So yes, there was a slip, right? From greatness. Now the question is, can they get back to what we know them for? I have extreme confidence with the Elder Scrolls series because I feel like seeing the Oblivion remake reminded the world on what they are capable of. And mind you, that's virtual. People go like, that's virtual, but it's still them with a coat of paint and modern, graphical sensibilities, right? Yeah. So to me, that's the next step of what the Elder Scrolls can be. And I think what happens is Starfield was so ambitious and trying to pull them in all these different directions that can get them back to the core. And to your point with Fallout, I think 400% 4 drove the conversation in a healthy way, okay, as to what people want and where the core sensibilities are. So I think they'll be fine with these two. The only question with them is that, I know some people like, creation, right? Does it still hold up? The bug.
It's going to have to. They're definitely using it for Elder Scrolls 6.
They're using it, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? They definitely use it. But I do understand people like, hey, we can't have as much lovable jank as we used to have it, and that comes to, and even Oblivion, right? The remake. People were like, "Bro, what's up?" Like how long it's taken to fix. It took to fix stuff in Quest and things that were kind of broken at launch. So that to me is I'll say the real issue. The only thing I'm concerned with them.
Yeah.
And one thing I say about Starfield, at least it was more of a finished product more than any of the other stuff. If it goes by recency bias, at least you can say that from a technical standpoint, things were not as, we were like, wow, it's a polished Bethesda game for the most part. At launch, there was nothing wrong with it.
Almost too polished.
Almost too polished, right? So that I think they can take from that. I still think they got two of them. Yeah, for sure.
It's tough because my answer is like a double-edged sword. It's like, do they still have it? Yeah, of course I believe in them. Until Todd's gone, I will probably always give them a shot. Mm-hmm. At the same time, when they have a focus, they do what a responsible game dev does, and like they go for whatever their goal is. Like, we want 1,000 planets. Okay, if you want 1,000 planets, like we'll find out 1,000 planets. It's going to come at a cost, though. I want 1,000 planets, though. They figured it out. We see the cost of that. So to me, what I think of in a objective sense, not getting into the whole Starfield mess, is really they can still set out to accomplish their goals, as ambitious as they may be. The question is, are the goals right and good for the game? The best choice for Starfield was probably 5 to 10 planets.
Right.
Much more detail, much more exploration, Mass Effect. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They wanted to hit a huge, ambitious number. They figured it out on a tech front. I imagine part of the reason they did that, Starfield, more and more when I go back to it, feels like an experiment. Like, what can we figure out here to inform future stuff?
Right.
And I just say that because there's just so many things, like the vehicles, the way they generate these planets, how different they are, how good they look, honestly. The environments in Starfield look really good. Maybe not the people, but the environments, I think, look really good. And so I just feel more and more that game was like a test bed.
Yeah. Like flexing creative juices.
Yeah. Like figuring things out. How far can we push things? And in some ways far, in many ways not far at all. Loading screens obviously being at least as it stands now, until we see what those big updates are, the big culprit in it all. But yeah, I think they still could deliver with Elder Scrolls 6, because there is a part of me that's like, the fabric of this series is so well known across that team. And there's still plenty of long-term members there that made their games great, that are still there. And there's just this sense of adventure in every Elder Scrolls game, that if it is an on-foot adventure with a nice open world, I think it should be great. Again, this is where the focus comes in, though. Bethesda loves quantity over quality nowadays, it seems. And that is shown in how they do their loot, legendary weapons. This is shown in their exploration. Starfield again, no substance to that sort of stuff, as much as I appreciate the effort. So if they can basically do what they did with Skyrim, which is like, we're going to make a tight open world map with all handcrafted locations. I mean, okay, right now, anytime I talk about Bethesda, the comment section on my videos always loads up with I have no faith in them, which I get. I think it's fair. I do think it's fair. However, Bethesda is one sentence away from changing a lot of people's minds. And that's all they have to say is everything you see is handcrafted. That's their selling point. If they are able to say that for Elder Scrolls 6, I think people will be on board. If they, and if you add one more, everything you see here is handcrafted with no loading screens. It's a wrap. Can they pull that off? I don't know. But if they directly, heavily respond to Starfield criticism, while keeping the things that are known quantities in Elder Scrolls, like adventure, exploration, meaningful loot, funny characters and quests, they can keep all of that and then just say those magic words, they'll be fine. But we'll see if they can do that. Is it the unapologetic faith I had in them in a post Skyrim into Fallout 4 era? No. But do I still think they're a good enough team to deliver good shit? Yeah, 1,000%. Like that's why I was so frustrated with Shatterspace. I was like, I know you're capable of more than this. Like you guys can miss. That can happen, but you cannot miss this big.
It can't happen.
Like you just like, I don't care if it's your B team, your C team should be capable of more than this. Like this is not okay. So that's where the frustration kicks in, but also the understandable skepticism.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think that I think for me, where my confidence is higher in terms of, like I said, the Elder Scrolls and Fallout, because to me, Starfield represented something so different from a systems perspective, right? It's like all these different systems, and then the trying to add 1,000 planets on top of what is considered their traditional format. If you take that away, you just go, okay, Elder Scrolls. What's the beauty of Elder Scrolls? You know what the beauty of Elder Scrolls is? You're finding your weapons, you're finding loot, you're adventuring, and then it's like, hey, what's that in the horizon?
Yeah.
That is the key. Like, that is like what drives you to say, okay, that's a dungeon thing. Okay, let me go down there. Because of Starfield's structure, right? We weren't afforded those kind of moments, so that when you tried to force it, play it like an Elder Scrolls or a Fallout, right? That's where it fell apart for most people who love Bethesda for that aspect. If you provided, again, to your point, they don't try to do any, AI kind of generated or whatever. And it's like you said, it's handcrafted, and it's the map of Cyrodiil and this new, area or whatever. They should be fine, right? The key to me just comes down to exciting quests. I'm with you on loot. You know what I'm saying? I think they do have to improve on loot. Like,
they got to stop 76 in loot, bro. Like, it's not these legendary grinds that they think it is. I hate it, dude.
Their loot game. That's where Obsidian, I feel, lapsed them. Like, when I know
science weapons, and
science weapons, and then with Avowed, them weapons in Avowed, like, everything was unique. Everything was like, it had properties and synergies, and I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. I want to feel special when I find something. I don't want generic loot Z with you know what I mean? It needs to have flavor to it. So I think that's what I need to see from them in terms of that. And then with Fallout, it just all I think they got to do is honestly new section of the Wastelands. I would say probably go away from the voice protagonist, right? That's just me. Because it was a point in contention. Not everybody hated it, but some people really, they wanted to be their own in their mind, what their adventurer was, kind of thing. And then, bro, you've got the TV series now as a slam dunk blueprint to play around. So I think they'll be fine. Like I said, just minus those two things. We have to get the loot stuff. And we can't go so ambitious that we get away from our handcrafted, what makes the soul of a Bethesda game. And I think they'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I it's just about what they prioritize. Because I think they've shown when they prioritize, like, I always think of Far Harbor. Like, when the criticism for Fallout 4 was like, the voice protagonist ruined the role playing, or people were blaming the engine for ruining the role playing, which just like it shows how gaming has educated itself more, because people would never say that nowadays for the most part. Like, it's Creation's engine's fault. This isn't a role playing game. Like, that makes no fucking sense. Even I had zero game dev knowledge of, like, I don't get how these two are associated. But when they made Far Harbor, and it was like this strong RPG experience, multiple endings, skill checking, choice and consequence, even though the protagonist was voiced, it was the moment of, okay, they can do this still. They just have to care about it. That's why Starfield, I think, for a lot of people was so disappointing, because it was like they showed like no voice protagonist, single player. We're going to give you choices, and they do. I just think for some of them, like the UC Vanguard, is an amazing quest line. That's like Bethesda, I think, at one of their best. Like,
I love that guy.
But I think it feels like a needle in the haystack to a lot of people, because around that is so much fluff that you can't get absorbed in. And so it's frustrating, because they still have these moments of good writing.
Yeah. I think for the casual, this is what they need. Last thing I'll say, what they need to do. I know this is a big ask based on said engine. They need a graphical, like the from a faces standpoint.
Yeah.
They need a glow up.
Yeah.
Like, they need people to go, oh my God. Because that's what gets them in trouble for it. Casual be like, why it look like that? Like, for us hardcore RPG, we're so used to, okay, we're going to get the most high fidelity, what I'm saying, facial animations or whatever. And I think I remember, because you know who I think about? I think about E, right? Shout out to E. And I remember him playing Starfield for the first time, right? Now, this is a guy, he loves hashtag just one Sony PlayStation games. He loves, like, Last of Us, Horizons, or like, so the fidelity when you see the character models on those games. And I remember him, this is his first Bethesda game.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's all. And he's like, yeah, Cog, so what's up with the eyes, though? And and I'm like, okay, this is what comes with the territory of, but you see what I'm saying? As a person who doesn't play their games, I would love that UE. And that's what keeps me hopeful is Oblivion Remake. because it just shows you with a little UE5 and a little touch up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could get that glow up a little closer. But it might not be to the level of those other games.
Yeah.
But we need a glow up there to get the casual to stop worrying about that part and be engrossed a little bit more. You need a little visual candy.
Yeah. Because their environments are great. I do think it just comes down to the character models. Yeah. Because like
models, bro.
Because I remember when we first saw Starfield, we went, oh, that looks great. But then when it took years to come out and then the competition just kept going, like when I remember playing Phantom Liberty after Starfield, I was like, oh my word. Like, like they need to figure out maybe even a cutscene system because like KCD2 kind of has the same animation cycles. They look really good, but they always, people are shrugging or doing this while talking. Like they have these same kind of rinse and repeat animation cycles, but and it works. But like then they have these moments of like fully motion captured cutscenes that are incredible and so good. And if Bethesda can find a way to do that, defy the odds, like I think that might help balance things out a little bit when the game doesn't look as good. Because right now it's just like a flat line the whole way through.
Yes, 100%.
It'll be interesting to see what they do. All right, Cog, news time.
Yes, sir.
Nintendo Direct happened last week. Biggest one ever, hour long. Got ourselves a Mario Direct in the middle of all of that to start things off, but also a lot of game announcements. And I just wanted to go through a couple of our write-ins here, see how you were feeling about what was announced. Anything you wanted to call out. RK128 writes, Blessed Day, Virtual Dukes. Thank you, Lord Sonic. Says, as someone who is in a situation where they need to be far more conservative with their finances, it's interesting to see how each of the big three are tackling the very real money crisis many are facing. While PlayStation and Microsoft offer their subscription services with monthly games and more, but still going ahead with $70 releases, Nintendo seems to be flying in the face of all of that. Their most recent Nintendo Direct just highlights how expensive it is to engage with their ecosystem. A $100 Virtual Boy plastic shell, $70 for decade-old games, $70 baseline price for even the Mario spin-off titles, and asinine prices for plastic figures. It's too much. What are your guys' thoughts on all of this? Do you think Nintendo is in the right for charging so much, or is it them being greedy because they want a generation? Have a no, Mario, I'm not paying $100 to enter your virtual world kind of day. Thank you, RK, for writing it as always.
Yes.
Cog.
The homie.
Yeah, let's see here. So Nintendo Direct comes around. A lot of things to sell us. Mario Galaxy Bundle 70. Amiibos are pushing 30. Virtual Boy over 100. Cardboard over 50, I think, if I remember correctly. It's expensive out here. What are thoughts on what Nintendo's doing, what they showed off? If you want to be in their ecosystem, is this where gaming is a luxury hobby argument gets dropped?
Bro, listen, I hate to be that guy, but they get away with murder. Bro, I'm sitting here, we get like 65 write-ins about Game Pass and I don't know, and this, that, and the third. And these dudes be charging for upscaled re-releases of old games at full price. Yeah. And they just throw it back at you. And people are like, but it's Nintendo. You know how they are. It shows me the nostalgia. Yeah. Combined with a history in their defense of very, quality titles from back in the day that you miss and that you want. And I get it, but it's just like only they are allowed to do this without much backlash, and it is hypocritical. Like it just is. Like, bro, who asked for Virtual Boy? Who sat there and was like, yes, the biggest failure in Nintendo history. Here we are, baby. We're back. And look, God bless. If that's something that people were asking for and wanted, no one was asking. I'm not giving benefit of that. No one was asking for this. I don't know anyone who was asking, but I'm being fair, being nice. What a nice guy. Yeah, I get it. And again, some of these titles, I remember they jumped off 80. They jumped off 80, right? And then obviously with the price and stuff like that, with the console stuff, and I know obviously it was tariff affected and stuff like that. Me personally, like I said, I don't engage in any of that stuff from them. There's certain other stuff titles. I'll get into the title. For me personally, I was more the franchise that I like for the most doesn't do well, which is Metroid. So when I got my Prime 4, and I'm like, okay, I'm good. And then obviously I got my Fire Emblem. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm good. These are the things I'm interested in. I'm not interested in, Mario does golf, Mario does tennis, there's just not my thing. But yeah, it unfortunately for a lot of people, they got to play on that nostalgia. And unfortunately, they have the data that shows as much complaining as we do or Arcade does, it doesn't matter. It does work for them, and people do buy these things. The last point I'll just say is, as a person, and we talked about this on Summertime, who I got caught into the addiction of amiibos. I remember when Breath of the Wild came out, and I said, yo, where did you get this wolf from? He's, oh yeah, that's from the amiibo. Bro, if I hunt down that wolf amiibo on every GameStop known to man just to find that wolf to have as an early onboarding kind of thing. So I get that, and the fact that you could use those in multiple games and stuff like that. But to sit there and now add this additional cost, almost $30 for that, that's a lot, bro. That's a lot. So yeah, I don't co-sign that stuff. But yeah, Goblins, what do you think? You think Nintendo's pushing it? Where are you at with this?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, they you put it perfectly. There's nothing I can really add to it. It's just they the best thing people can do is just not buy it, but I don't think people care enough. I think some are getting sick of it. If online sentiment is anything to go by, I do see. I watch like Nintendo YouTubers because it's like not an ecosystem I'm not fully in, but I like to stay up to date on like what people find important and what they're talking about. So I'll watch like a little Spawn Wave, or I know RGT doesn't call himself a Nintendo YouTuber, but he covers a lot of Nintendo stuff.
Shout out to RGT.
Yeah, keep an ear on the ground. See what they're up to. But I do see their audiences chiming in, being like, "You're going to talk about like what's wrong with like these price tags are ridiculous. Why are you guys like?" It's interesting to see, not them specifically, but there are a lot of Nintendo channels that just kind of go for the big reaction and expect their audience to meet them there too. I say that as someone who's been there before. If I'm excited for something and people are like, what the fuck? Like, I don't like it at all. We've all been there. But with Nintendo, it's starting to build up a little bit. Like, there is a little bit of resentment. And I get it, because Nintendo's playing this very expensive ball game right now when everyone's wallets are getting tighter. And again, it's fair if people go, well, it's a luxury hobby. But I also think it's fair to say that Nintendo should respect their customers a little bit more by offering fair prices. Like, people were trying to argue me like, well, Mario Galaxy, you could buy it separately for $40. I'm like, that's still outrageous, because they literally sold you Mario Galaxy in the 3D All-Stars package in 2020.
Wow.
And that was a $60 bundle. And at least you could get away with, all right, it's 3 old games put together, but then they didn't touch these games at all. And they made it artificially limited and pulled it not only off the actual physical storefront for you. Okay, fair enough. You don't want to print more copies. They pulled it off their digital storefront, dude.
That's wild. Could you imagine if Xbox did that?
No, that's what I'm saying, dude. It's unfucking believable. And people are like, well, it's $40 still. I'm like, shut up, please. You are not helping. Okay? You should be able to go and buy Mario Galaxy from 5 years ago. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. Ball game. It's over. Done. Like, you should have had it already, because Nintendo didn't want to put themselves in a spot where, we're going to like, here's the roadmap for the movies. Oh, we're doing Galaxy in 5 years.
Cut them off from that. We're going to make the new journey.
Sell it from again. Yeah. Well, why don't we just sell Galaxy 2 on its own? Are you kidding me? The bundle and starting from the scratch, like, that's going to be what people want. They're not going to buy Mario Galaxy 2 on its own. It's sad, because people defend this shit, and I get it. Like, I have my favorite companies too that I buy merch from, or I'll buy games from, and like, what I get it. We all have our favorites. We all have nostalgia is very powerful. I have nostalgia for Nintendo, but like, dude, there's a point where you're just like making excuses for being crazy. Like, there's no reason to be buying these types of things. The gimmicks, even. I respect Nintendo for being crazy enough to do a Virtual Boy, but there's a difference between, wow, they're so crazy, and like, dude, like the amount of effort you could have put between this and like getting Wii games on your classic lineup, or just opening up the virtual shop again so people can buy these console. There's so many things that they could have put their effort into that I'm starting to see these as just wasted opportunities, not cute little gimmicks. And I know that's me putting my hater cap on, and it is, bro, because I'm just like, you guys are wasting time. I don't. You know what it is, bro? It's pick me energy. That's what it is. It's such pick me energy to do the Virtual Boy. It really is. Like, I've read the Reggie's book. Like Nintendo's whole philosophy is like, what's different? And I'm like, sometimes, brother, I don't want different. I want what I've been asking for the last decade. You continuing to undermine and edge us for an extra 5 years is crazy because it's different. It's like, oh, we'll get you your Wii later, though. Yeah. Like, no, now. Like, I've waited since you shut down the virtual console shop. Like, I've waited. I've been patient. Like, you know,
I feel you.
It's so, yeah, like, Nintendo is always interesting to watch because they can do these crazy things that can be exciting. One of my, it's so funny. Like if we're talking recent, like one of my first thoughts is like Ultimate Alliance 3. I'm like, oh, beautiful. Like this wouldn't have happened without Nintendo getting involved somehow. That's awesome. They enable these creative things. They also, you know, as we talked about with Gene, support the developers in really important ways in light of how Xbox does things. Like Nintendo does give that time. If Metroid Prime 4 is anything to go by, Nintendo does give that time. They're not perfect, but they do right in a lot of ways. So it's frustrating when I see them doing wrong by their customers, even if the economy is shifting. It's like, I don't know how anyone can justify some of these prices. It's ridiculous. Like even as a collector, like people are like, well, aren't you going to get the collection when it's physical? I'm like, dude, I'm not fucking made of money here. Like I love collecting, but I also like collecting realistically, you know? And as much as I like preserving things, like, yeah, I jumped for 3D All-Stars because they got me. They're like, we're going to get rid of this. I'm like, they actually will do this. I'll get it. But they're not going to get me twice now. It's like, I'll fucking live, bro. I don't need these games. And I think a lot of people are on that page now. It's like, yeah, you know what? You know, this artificial scarcity thing, Nintendo, like you ain't worth it, you know? So that aside, Cog, were there any games that you saw during the show that you were excited about?
No, for me, like I said, Metroid Prime, you know, looked fantastic. Got my little motorcycle. I know it's a little controversy right now, but you know, I like that. Hopefully, it's something that's between areas and levels. I thought the tone was dark. It looks cool. Again, I've always been a Metroid fan, so I'm pushing for this one, and hopefully, you know, that series does well for them. You know, because I know obviously Mario and Zelda, that's their big ones, but I love the Metroid series. So I had Dread. I had usually every iteration I get. So you got that, and then like we talked about with Summertime. I know it's controversial for you, but I love Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Turn-based goodness. I like the direction with the cel-shaded stuff, and they showed the new one, and I love the kind of like the atmosphere. It's like almost felt like this Roman Empire kind of gladiator kind of vibe. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? A couple of protagonists, like Brad said, one looks like to me kind of looks like Luis from Metaphor, but he made a good point, like Alucard. You know, vibe, energy, and stuff like that. So I'm with that. I want to see where that goes. So that's 2026. So basically, I'm the weird Nintendo guy. I don't really buy Nintendo outside of Zelda for Link. I don't really buy them for their first party offerings, to be honest. I am not. I like when they do unique stuff, or like, remember, you know, obviously we're Astral Chain guys, or you know, exclusives that, you know, to me has unique sensibilities that I get from them. So I got Metroid Prime for this year. Fire Emblem is going to be my title for them next year. And there's like one or two more games in there that I saw that I was like, okay, I'll keep my eye on that. Surprisingly, the Hyrule Warriors joint.
Oh yeah, Age of Imprisonment.
That looked okay. I was like, all right, I'm gonna keep my eye on you. And I think they had like a Monster Hunter something
Stories 3.
That one I'm not okay. I'm keeping my eye. I'm not saying I'm definitely in, but I saw some stuff in there that'll keep me interested. But I already know what game you getting, because I saw something. I was like, oh, bro, he's gonna go crazy. I'm gonna have to hear a whole segment in there talking about. So let's go.
Yeah, Danganronpa 2x2. We actually have a write-in. Very pleased to see that. The Juan writes in. So, Maddie, Danganronpa 2x2. When I saw the announcement, I immediately thought of you. But why a remake of 2? Is it the fan favorite in the franchise, like how Silent Hill 2 is? Also, why is Danganronpa V3 so hated in the community? I hope you can answer all my questions, Maddie, and have a great one, Cog. Okay. Hello. I'm going to do my best to not spoil to answer these questions, because I think it is, a lot of people are looking at this kind of like, what's going on here? Remake it. We'll start with the easy ones I can answer without spoiling. Danganronpa 2 is a little bit out of sync with the rest of the franchise. Not storytelling wise, but it's out of sync with the franchise gameplay wise. Danganronpa 1 and V3 have these first person exploration modes, and I really love that about the series, because, like, for example, when you're in a claustrophobic environment like the school setting of Danganronpa 1, just walking around in first person, investigating all the items in the environment, finding NPCs. It sounds stupid because it is like this anime sprite game, but it really does create some level of immersion, and it gives it definitely a unique factor. And this is not to be mistaken. Like, there's the first person walking around and looking around mode. And then there's like when you enter a room in Danganronpa, you have the cursor, which is viewed from your point of view. And you move the cursor and you interact with items and it pulls the camera in a little bit. That's in all 3 games. But that first person exploration's gone in 2. They substituted with side scrolling. It was a really weird choice. I remember when I was playing it. So you have Hajime Hinata, who's your main character. And like when you went to switch islands in the game, he would just like run sideways around a street, basically. And it would just, it was a little strange. I'm going to be honest. Like I really didn't get the change in it. I think what they wanted to do is because you had what's basically the game's version of like a Tamagotchi that as you run around and you get steps, your virtual pet grows. And so you can take care of it in the meanwhile. So I think they wanted to be like, okay, while you're running to these places, this thing is progressing. I never really got hooked into that mini game either. Like, you know, to be clear with one and others, like Danganronpa 2 is my least favorite in the trilogy, easily. But a lot of people disagree with that. Like, one of our artists on my team is like a huge Danganronpa 2 fan. Like, she was so fucking excited about this. So that's my answer to like why I think they're remaking 2. Because it's the most out of sync gameplay wise. There are also some investigations, in particular, chapter 4, if I'm remembering correctly. I'll just say a funhouse. That could be way better. Way better. It's like the one thing, like I've replayed every Danganronpa game except 2 because that part of the game sucks. It's the one part of Danganronpa I'll be like, yep, that murder, that investigation, like I got annoyed. Like I got really annoyed. It's the only Danganronpa game where when I was doing like the trials, I was like, what? Like, I think it has a lot of jank to it. It feels the least thought out to me. Like it really does. It's an excellent story, but it just like the trials and the things you have to put together, like it's where they implemented lying. And so now you can lie to get to the truth.
Right.
And it's just I know people will be like, well, you're an idiot, but it's just very hard to tell when it's a good time to lie, because when you're trying to logically think, your brain's rationalizing a ton of options. When you have multiple ways to get to that truth and they're not so freeform, but it's like, it's a lie this time. But you think of a way that's like, well, I'm going to take the truthful route and use a truth bullet instead of a lie, but it's like the same evidence label. So let's say it's like confusing stack of papers. You can use that as a lie or as the truth. It's a cool idea. I just think the execution is sloppy, where it leads to these moments of you like firing off bullets and it's like, shoot, I was wrong on that again. And you're just like, I don't know what the answer is. I'm just going to fire off every one I've got. That's a shitty feeling because you're not really solving problems like you were in 1 and 3. So I think they might tweak some of that too, because I felt a lot of friction with that system. And if they can iron that out, make that better, that'd be great too. Visually, I guess they're improving the game. Like the sprites are way more animated. The layout looks really nice. The lighting looks really nice. Like they're giving it a glow up, which I didn't think the series really needed, but it looked good. As for why Danganronpa V3 is hated, you'll know once you beat it. You know, you either love it or you hate it. I love it.
Oh, okay.
I love it. I think it was really smart. I think it was really interesting, and especially for someone who was walking away from the series from that point, like they knew their future and they were like, "We're done here." I think the way they kind of wrap things up, where they kind of put the series in a corner, and I mean they kept the series prisoner. Like until now we've learned Kodaka's coming back. I don't think they could have wrote a Danganronpa game until he came back, and I think there's something amazing and admirable about a creator being able to actually leave a series on their own terms and pick it back up when they want to, and that business could not get in the way of the story. Like the story is that tight. Interesting. I just think it goes in a really fascinating direction. For some people, they feel it subverts everything they played and they don't like it. For me, I think it really adds to it and the imagination. And I'll just say, as I said on Summon Sign, 2x2 or 2 times 2 equals 4. Think of it like that.
Okay.
There's a new scenario being added here. They said it's the same length as Danganronpa 2. And I am very interested to see how that all goes. So,
yeah, I did see something. I was like, new scenario. I was like, what the hell is this? Okay, this is interesting.
Yeah, so I'll just say I think that's Danganronpa 4.
It's the setup, the lead. Okay.
They've done this before. Again, it's they're cheeky with their naming convention. Is what I'll say. Pay very close attention to how they name their stuff, and you'll start to put it together. But yeah, I'm one of the people who loves V3. V3 also goes back to a school setting. It has a ton of mini games. Like they have an RPG mode in it. Like it's a full-on video game, dude. Like that is easily one of the most impressive visual novels because it remembers it's a video game. A lot of visual novels are like, here's your aerial text and like blocks of just exposition. We're a visual novel, deal with it. It's like, no, dude, like, it's so tiring. But Danganronpa cares a lot about its presentation. I think V3 is like the peak of a lot of that. 1 is still my favorite in the series, but I love all these games, man. Nice. And it'll be interesting to see what they like do after this, because that second scenario is going to tell us everything. Like, are they going to do a remake of 1?
Right.
Because a lot of people will think they should just do that instead. So there's a reason they picked 2. And I think it's because some characters in 2 can be used in interesting ways. But I also recommend if people feel V3 sucks, they should go watch the anime.
Okay.
Real conclusion there.
Okay.
Danganronpa 3. Very interesting. I love how they handled the series. It's just, once you get in that brain salad, there's no getting out. And that's why I'm obsessed with Kodaka's work. He's just like, I think, very brilliant, He reminds me a lot of Kojima. Now I'm playing Kojima stuff. He just really does. Like, he got a lot of cool shit going on.
Nice.
All right, Cog. Randy Pitchford. Let's talk about it. Because he, when I go through the news, I go through our usual websites, Pure Xbox, Insider Gaming, IGN. I go through them all. I see, what's the hot topics? Was the trending topics? Where we're getting the most comments? Like, what is the community talking about the most? It would have been a tremendously slow week if not for this man's Twitter account. I mean that I'm not exaggerating. Like, you'll see the drop off from Randy's Twitter account here to what we talk about next. There's still great stuff to get into, but yeah, it's like slow ass week. But this man kept it interesting, that's for sure. So, oh man, if I sat here and read you all what he posted, we would be here for at least another 15, 20 minutes just of me reading. And I just don't feel like that makes sense. I would say that if you'd like to be entertained, go give it a look. Some examples of things he said recently.
Right.
Telling people to code their own engine in response to optimization woes, telling people just refund the game if you have a problem. He's been functioning as a technical support chat line saying, would you like us to tune this to your personal specifications? Like, being very sarcastic and then framing it as him trying to be genuine with people. Posting how his customer service has told him that the percentage of people actually having issues with the game's optimization is less than 1% of 1%. By the way, he broke it down via customer support tickets on Gearbox, ignoring the fact that there's people on YouTube, Twitter, Steam reviews, etc., complaining about optimization issues. Claiming before the game launched that the game runs buttery smooth on all consoles, and then afterwards saying, it doesn't run well on PS5 Pro. The solution to this is shutting the game down, restarting it, and then turning it back on again. So there were issues with the console version and so on. There's been just I usually don't use that term meltdown because it's definitely that hyperbolic YouTuber title type of verbiage, but it really has been like a fucking mental collapse from this guy. We have write-ins.
Let's get it.
Florida Man says, Duke boys, can Randy Pitchford just chill the fuck out and realize that his game has issues? Grab your tail in your pants, pull it up, and do what CD Projekt Red did and fix it. When not just putting you in your place, maybe take the hint. Have my New York Giants found Russell Wilson in good form and still couldn't pull it off kind of day.
I feel it.
Now, to just add to this, yeah, so Randy's freaking out on Twitter, and Notch literally responded to him and just said, be a man, dude.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, it's getting a little dirty.
What's up? Yeah.
Deuces Bra writes, hey, Dukes, I'm a CPA, and if someone doesn't like the quality of the tax return I prepare, my response is simple. Learn to do it yourself, because if you expect a good quality product for your money, you might be expecting too much. If you can't personally recreate the thing you're paying for, you should have no expectations for others who do it for a price. P.S. I'm loving the irony of a man using a third-party engine telling others to code their own engine if they don't like the game. Peace. Yeah, so you can see here, I mean, this guy is, you know what's frustrating is I'll talk about in a little bit here is I think Borderlands 4 is genuinely great. And you'll, I'm sure, speak to it as well. I think Borderlands 4 is genuinely great.
Yeah.
He is ruining it. Like he is, there's a point where I went like, oh, Twitter's not fully real life in a lot of ways. And sometimes the series is too big to fail. I mean, if Borderlands can overcome the movie and still do well on the market, there's something to be said about the power of this franchise. But this dude is festering so much bad faith and destruction and hurting his team who worked hard on this game. Like, I cannot be stating that enough, bro. If I worked for this fucking guy and I thought about the time, the effort, the sacrifice that went across, according to Randy's words, 6 years to watch this bro go out and just fuck it all up, I would be putting my papers in. I'd be like, all right, I know it's a tough industry out there, but there's got to be a better company to work for where my effort feels duly rewarded. Because what's amazing is there's nuance in this conversation. The fans have said, hey, we like the game, but bro, there are issues. Stop it. Yeah. Stop acting like there's not. But this guy can't accept it. It's the most unbelievable thing I've seen. Cog, you're going to be more rational than me. You're the level-headed guy between the two of us. Hit me with it. What's going on, Randy?
Ain't no lies detected for what you said, man. Look, it's just the thing with Randy, even from the beginning, right? When we saw the $80 potential rumor, right? And even though it didn't happen, the comments made there were just so inflammatory. And this is a situation where you're just too close to the situation. You love your product so much that your sensitivity level is so high that any perceived slight, you're ready to go to war on Twitter with random user X. Bro, as a CEO or whatever your position is, all you are doing is hurting your team. All you are doing is putting an unnecessary bullseye. And I don't care what nobody say. You cannot tell me the execs of 2K really like this. I think they tolerate him because of the success of the franchise and what they know it means to them from a money-making perspective. But to sit there and act as if the game doesn't have any issue. And I saw some of the comments. I said, let me see if dudes are really being nasty to him. He's justifiably being snarky or whatever. And a lot of times the dudes are like, yo, man, I love it. I'm just having issues. Yo, go code your own game. To tell that. And then here's the thing, the point with the whole, well, we only see 1% of 1% on our Gearbox technical support. We have to be realistic. And you can argue, well, they need to be using tech support. No one's utilizing that. They're going to social media and they will point out the issues of what's going on. I know people with 5090s, high performance rigs, right? That are like, bro, I'm barely struggling to get 60 frames per second with this game. Yeah. It's not optimized the greatest, right? It's okay, bro. You don't have to take every bit of criticism as this personal attack that you got to go on a ramp. It's like, bro, put your phone down, stop pressing send, let your PR, let the technical people deal with this. You do not need to be jumping out in front and attack, because all you're doing is antagonizing the audience. And I'm going to tell you one thing, that's not a victory you're going to win. The internet is undefeated. If you keep beefing with random avatar X on Twitter, all you're doing is sinking your game. And we know we're in a very sensitive timeline right now, right? Especially with political things, current events, all that. All it takes is the wrong tweet on the wrong day, or you know what I mean, at the wrong time. Yeah. And you're out of here. Shut up and put the phone down. It's simple. And I think what's sad about this, it feels like no one can tell him this because he's too empowered. Because at some point, I felt like, I don't know if it's Strauss from 2K, Zelnick, it seems like no one can do that. And I think maybe it's one of the gifts and the curses that come with the territory of dealing with a Randy Pitchford, right? Which is like, okay, you have him, but this is what you're going to deal with, kind of thing. And unfortunately, I would hate for this game, because we all agree, Borderlands 4 is fire. Right? Yeah. We love this game. We would hate to see this game being sunk because of the actions of someone who can't control their emotions. It's clear as day. He cannot control his emotions. He's way too sensitive. He's way too close. And that's all I would hope, man. If he listens, then we probably don't care. But like, bro, we don't got no beef with you. You know what I'm saying? It's just people have some legit issues with the game. You know, let the tech team get in front of that. Or you know what you do? Direct people to the proper channel to do it. Provide a link, provide a solution. Stop beefing with the audience. These are the people that pay money. It's not a good idea. Just some advice.
Yeah. I just, what's frustrating too is what's happening is people will be like, well, it's Twitter. And at the end of the day, it's not a big deal. What's happening is his headlines have overtaken post-launch plans that I didn't know about. I was talking to a friend about Borderlands 4, and we were actually talking about Randy's tweets, and I was just like, yeah, it's fucking unbelievable, dude. I was like, yeah, and like I said, I have no idea what's going on with the game after it's launched now. He's like, oh, you didn't see, like there was a post-launch roadmap, and I'm like, what? I didn't know about that. And you look and you see like, oh, wow, they're planning new Vault Hunter, they're planning just tons of stuff. Like, and that was a moment of like, this guy is fucking burying key headlines for this game, and for those who are excited, kind of letting them, at the end of the day, sustain that excitement. It's just like he is destructive to the thing he loves so much.
Yeah.
And I can only be sympathetic for so long, like as in, I can sit here and go, I get it. I get caring a lot. But bro, your foot is in your mouth every single time you launch something. Yeah. It's like you are not allowed to enjoy the thing you've worked so hard on. And there's something deeply sad about that. It's like you were so excited about the movie. And the movie, I know it hurts, bro, but it rightfully got fucking thrashed, dude. That movie is terrible.
That's when I knew he's too close to the situation.
Yeah, because I don't know what world you got to be in outside of the personal satisfaction of, yes, we got a movie. But beyond that, bro, literally nothing about that movie is good. I don't know how you look at that and go, yeah, great shit here. and so when I see him defending that, I mean, it's a war over everything. And I can respect, as I talked about earlier, what I said, where I went, hey, being close to your audience and talking to them is great. This is the risk that comes with it when you think they're going to understand everything you're saying. But trying to constantly go at the situation like, okay, people are having optimization issues. I'm going to tell them, well, you need to accept the relationship between PC gaming and the software you're playing. You need to accept that. It's like, no, I don't, bro. I spent $70. I do not need to accept that. Technically, you guys are just like a small percentage because actually, according to our customer support tickets, there's less than 1% of you. 1% of 1%. It's like, no, I'm right here. I'm having a lot of problems. And so are thousands and thousands of others. Like, we're not 1% of your players because we didn't go through your customer support line. That's no doubt useless in this situation. Like, there's no reason for us to use your customer service because like it's a fucking software issue, dude. Like, what do you guys, if you guys could fix it, right, you would have already, but now we have to go make noise online. So you recognize these problems. And it's that awkward thing that we talked about with Deathloop, where everyone was like, no, the AI is not broken. First big patch comes in. It's the AI. I'm like, okay, so we're going to have that awkward conversation when the optimization is fixed, because the people who work for Randy no doubt know and are paying attention and going like, yeah, we have problems here. Like, we need to fix these things. And when the patch notes say, optimize PC performance, what happened, Randy? Well, I thought you said this was fine, bro. Like, that's what people are going to say to him.
Yeah.
And he does it to himself. Like, I can only be sympathetic to the situation for so long before I'm like, dude, you're being an asshole to your team. You're absolutely ruining their work. Yeah. I know you were part of that work. You're ruining for them. You're ruining for yourself. Like, you don't understand the privilege it is, clearly, to overcome 3's writing, Wonderlands, and then this abysmal movie, to actually have a game come out and be played. I mean, it's unbelievable when you really think about it. How many series die after like one of these blunders? You have 3 of them, in my opinion. Many agree with that. And you still come out with 4 and people are like, hey, man, tip of the cap. I think they did it here. This is wonderful. And then you have one problem. One, I think, very reasonable problem, among others some have, but like in the terms of like a shared issue.
Right.
Can this be fixed? Can this be optimized further? Do I need to do science project hoodickery with my fucking games? Can I avoid that? He's basically telling you no, because it's a campaign looter shooter versus, he's denying comparisons to Cyberpunk. He's like, that's 5 years old. I'm like, Cyberpunk's still a benchmark game, bro. What are you on right now? He's denying comparisons to all sorts of games. It makes me melt down because I'm just
it makes me melt down.
I'm just sitting here crashing out thinking, like, how do you do this? How do you do this and continue to do this? Like, I can only imagine, bro. Let's just say a quick prayer for the people at Gearbox PR, 2K PR, Take-Two PR, who got to go through this mess, bro. They're the real sufferers in all of this.
That's the real MVP.
Because they're the ones who are going to craft these marketing messages. They're going to craft these statements. They're going to craft all this stuff. And no matter what they say now, it's going to be like, yeah, fuck your boss, though. And it's just, I feel so bad for them, man.
Yeah,
because
it's a complete disservice to the team.
It really is. It's so, you're not like it's like a hero complex. It's like, you're not saving them. You're not helping them. You're not fighting for your team. Your team, I guarantee, is in like the Slack channel, like, there he goes again.
Yeah, could you imagine, like, we honestly get a chance to speak to someone who worked, for Gearbox during this period, and, what the real feeling is. It can't be, again, you crush morale with this kind of stuff. I've been on teams like this, like, you crush morale. And what it is, again, from an empowerment standpoint, I just think, if I had to guess, there's no one in that room who has A, the balls to tell him, or B, the powers that have enabled him to the point where he feels he can do this and there's not going to be much repercussion. And it's unfortunate, man, because, again, the game is actually a great game. But yeah, like we all said, once I saw his comments on that movie, there's also a thing that worries me, Maddie, about accountability. And I am concerned, if you can't admit issues, how that fares for the team, you know what I'm saying, publicly. So that's all I got. But yeah, I'm just tired. Every day there's a new headline. That cannot happen.
All right, we're going to do things a little out of order now. We have a time limit. I'll continue the show independently, but Cog does have an event that he's traveling to. So we want to make sure we get in some of the hot topics that we can talk about together. So normally these would be in our news section, like our main headlines, but this show is going to be out of order. And so we're going to move those two up, talk about them now. Cog will dip, and then you're stuck with me, unfortunately.
Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you.
And then Cog's actually out for a couple of weeks from there because he'll be in Tokyo. So,
but we're going to talk about that. There's still something I can do for 1 week.
Okay.
Yeah, so it might not be as extended as I thought. So yeah, might just be a 1 week thing, but we're going to figure this out.
Cool. All right, awesome. All right, so let's get into it. The first one, Cog, is the Initiative.
Yeah.
Right. We know this is the Perfect Dark Studio, and we have a statement from the studio head as he finally breaks his silence. This is Daryl Gallagher. He took to LinkedIn and he had the following to say, quote, "After an incredible journey, my time at Xbox has come to a close with the wind down of Perfect Dark and the Initiative. I couldn't be prouder of the talented and passionate team I had the privilege to assemble and lead. Together, we set out to reimagine an iconic franchise and poured creativity, craft, and dedication into every step of the way. The public reception and excitement for what we were building has been inspiring and deeply appreciated by all of us. While this chapter is ending sooner than hoped, the spirit, talent, and achievements of the team will live on well beyond the project. I'm grateful to Xbox for the opportunity, to our partners for their support, and to the community for their belief in what we were creating. I leave with nothing but pride in what we accomplished together and excitement for what's next, both for myself and for the amazing developers I was fortunate enough to work with. Here's to new adventures and to celebrating the journey we have shared." So it's done. It's dead. Again, there was hope that with the sale to Take-Two, that maybe Perfect Dark could live on, if like maybe the community outcry was enough with, hey, like figure out the IP issue, Xbox and Take-Two, because we want to see this game happen. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case here. Daryl's done, studio's done. It's all over. Cog, your thoughts on Daryl's statement and now the true final chapter of this long story.
Yeah, no, this obviously the whole situation is sad and unfortunate, right? Obviously a studio closure, a game that we saw at a showcase that looked promising, and we were like, okay, finally, after all the upheaval, all the things that went down between, the Initiative and its initial startup, all that AAA quote unquote quadruple A. It was the joke, talent that was assembled that then left, and then Crystal Dynamics came in, affectionately called with the Crystal D shirts. Came in to save it through which Embracer kind of brokered, right, to get in there and to work with Daryl Gallagher to get the game to where we saw it, at a showcase almost a year ago. And it looked promising. It really did. And for me, as a person who really respects Daryl Gallagher as a talent, as a visionary hit, if you look at this man's resume, as far as the games he has contributed to, I believe even Tomb Raider, the franchise, and the reboot is under his name. Like, this man has a tremendous pedigree. So for me, it was important to see or know if he was going to make any statements. And I'll be honest, when I didn't hear from him, I'm like, oh, this is super contentious must be, because, you usually hear from the studio head. He went kind of dark. So, to me, this was one, encouraging to one, hear from him, talk about how proud he was of the project. Two, obviously didn't seem to disrespect things. Like, I'll be honest, I was expecting the nasty, or when you don't hear it's still, and then we'll hear more later. And we still may hear more later.
I was going to say, give it time.
Yeah, we still may hear more.
My opinion is give it some time.
And that's fair. All I'm saying is that to put out this level of statement, to me, is important because it showed that, okay, for whatever happened, he's still proud of the work that was done, appreciative of the opportunity, ready to now do something else. Because that's another thing. Like, we're losing visionaries, right? Where do they go? Are they leaving the industry, right? That's my concern. So I'm like, okay, he still seems that he has excitement and passion. He wants to do it. And here's the key thing that I wanted to say.
Sure.
Regardless to whatever happened, right? I find it very interesting that, was it 2 Dukes ago, Take-Two was involved. That tells me whatever they saw that either took too long, that Xbox was not happy with, or was too expensive, or whatever the reason why the final decision was made for them to move on from the project, still doesn't negate the fact that Take-Two saw something, was like, yo, we want that. And we want it so much. We want the IP. Because that ended up was what breaking this thing now from it being saved. We got the Jason Schreier report. So look, it still shows that there's still talent there, and it's still something to be had. I'm very curious to see where he goes next. But yeah, it's unfortunate, man. It's really unfortunate because when this studio, to me, this one hurts a lot because I'm not going to forgive your own studio that you created got shut down. Yeah. I'm not letting that one go. No. I understand. Yeah, I understand. Hey, if dudes was jerking off with the money or taking too long, like, okay, I get that. I'll give you a pat, but it's like, bro, that you built that studio. It's yours. That's a reflection. And again, it ties in with 343, and it's you know what I mean. It too much of a pattern when where again it reemphasizes you yourself are not a creator. And I don't like that moniker on you. I just don't. It's not a good scarlet letter to rock. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now, when you get other people in the building and you let them to leave their own devices, it seems to work better for you, aka the Obsidians, or whatever. But that's whatever. But I just don't like that part. And I'm not gonna. On this regime, that to me is their greatest failure. And I think I've had this conversation with Carl before, like, internally as a creative, you just haven't shown that ability. And I look at that as that, with the initiative situation. I was very excited when the initiative got it down. I remember.
I think we all were, dude.
I was like, yo, they're invested in themselves. They want to be a creator. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there's power to that and creativity towards that. So that to me is the saddest thing in reference to this. And then obviously for those who love Perfect Dog, where do you go? What do you do from there, right? That franchise looks like it's all ice, bro. Done. So that's the sad part about this.
Yeah, it's a really strong reflection of what Xbox is nowadays, because they have the ability to lure a lot of great talent because they have a lot of money. Like they have a ton of cash, so they've been able to net world-class talent from all different studios. They've been able to poach creative directors at PlayStation and Insomniac in particular to come work at the initiative, right? Like they've been able to do really great things. Like, let's get all of these major key figures at Bethesda. Like their money has afforded them a lot of great possibilities, and the reflection, sadly, now that the story is concluded, is that they don't know how to deploy that talent once they get it and how to sustain that talent. And I know there could be arguments, as you mentioned earlier, like, are they fucking around with the money? Are there production issues? Like at the end of the day, I can only react to what I see. I don't know what the budgetary, monetary issues were, if there were any. But as we'll talk about with Scalebound in a little bit, there's something to be said about the focus on Western studios, and not that they have to function like charities, but when you're a company like Microsoft and you have the ability to afford developers the time to figure it out, like a Nintendo has, that you didn't, even with your, effectively, what are your own people, I mean, you're all developers, so they're all your own people, but I hope people get the idea of, like, as Cog mentioned earlier, this is your team. You were building this from the ground up. If they don't get given a chance to figure things out, whoever will. You've fostered a very uncreative environment because everyone feels they're on the chopping block, because every drastic scenario is now played out. If you were successful, like Zenimax Online Studios, your project can be canceled. You haven't earned the right to make something new, even when you are making money. If you are a visionary, you still can lose your job. If you have the most popular IP in the world, i.e. Call of Duty, it doesn't matter if you're in key leadership positions, you'll still be getting your layoff letter in your email. Even if things are going well for you and the layoffs start to come in, you're not going to be treated well. Your Slack's going to get shut down and you're not going to know what the fuck's going on. And you're going to enter a state of panic because you're not handled with care. These are things that have happened over the last year or so with Xbox and the teams they've bought and how they've treated them. And that's why they're not able to keep this talent. And it's sad because, again, this story could have had a new chapter under Take-Two. And I don't know if Take-Two would have saved it, made it worse. We don't know. Obviously, we can look at this with in a very idealistic way. But from what we know, they spent a lot of time on this. They made what, if we're to trust the words of an ex-developer at the studio, was effectively a very big vertical slice that they could have gone to a content building phase afterwards. I think that's why Take-Two probably found it attractive, because they were like, this game looks great. We know that. And, we just need to fund this for X amount more years, like 2 more years, and you'll build the whole thing now. Seems pretty easy, but we want the IP.
Right.
That's where my frustration kicks in, like it did last week. I hate that Xbox is clearly protecting themselves here from themselves, because I can put money on it that they probably did not want to give up the IP strictly because if it succeeds, it would be a reflection of themselves. Again, it would be like, wow, the conversation online would definitely be like, wow, Xbox gave this up. Look how well it did. And they would rather not take that egg on the face than give creatives a chance to succeed and to thrive. It is the bleak reality of making games in a corporate environment, because I know this was an act of self-preservation, not because I have sources or anything, but you can just tell you don't want to be the guy who gave up, or girl who gave up Perfect Dark and it turned into a multi-billion-dollar franchise. You don't want to be that person. Just like when I talked to Dara, you don't want to be that person when it comes to Dragon Age or Mass Effect, and that's why you don't maybe hand these spin-offs out. You don't want to be the person who greenlights the disaster. So they protect themselves to keep their jobs. And again, if this comes down to the big 3 at Xbox, I don't know how much more blemished your track record can be, where if it is an act of self-preservation, what's going on there? I really don't get it. But it's really sad, because if I didn't see Perfect Dark, I'd be like, all right, it's a shame, but we never saw it.
Because
we all have seen it.
Yeah.
We know the potential's there. Clearly, another publisher was interested enough to be like, we'll buy this from you. But we want the thing that you will never use. Again, I will be stunned if Xbox ever uses this IP. Maybe it comes down to money and Take-Two didn't want to pay for it. That's always a possibility too, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I just think too many signs of the actions of this regime at Xbox have pointed the opposite way. And putting a thing in IP jail when you weren't going to do that with Hi-Fi Rush, it just screams calculated damage control. And it's sad. because I think this team, despite it all and all the arguments I went through on this game and saying like what's happening with it makes no sense and it's not okay how the studio is being handled and people fighting me on that, I still want to see it be given a chance.
Oh, of course, we all do.
So, yeah, just a deeply frustrating day for Xbox. You know, I'm glad the chapter's over. But I just, again, really think this was one that deserved its time. Like, you know, there was even the lead actor or actress, I should say, who was saying like, please use your voice. Like, we can save this thing. And this was before we knew about Take-Two. So she knew something like, hey, there might be a chance here. And the fans spoke. People really wanted this thing. It's just a bummer that, you know, they continue to shut these things down. So that's my diatribe.
No, I get it. We talked about, I'm going to beat a dead horse. We talked about it. It is just, again, it's more painful when you realize it could have been saved, right? That we didn't have that extra information on top of it. That's when it really sucks. And then when it comes down to IP ownership, and again, these are details I don't have, but yeah, to your point, you know, there's Sean Chen, there's not going to do anything with the IP, right? And then, you know, to their point, you know, these guys may have them bent over a barrel and they, you know, not try to give them for some ridiculously low price. So, and maybe they know the fact that they, from a public relations standpoint, it'll make them look bad. I don't know. But at the end of the day, the end result is the game doesn't exist and the studio doesn't exist. And that's a reality and an outcome that nobody likes. So yeah, that's where we are.
So best of luck to Daryl Gallagher and other initiative developers with their future endeavors. And I hope everyone lands in a studio on their feet and are able to actually finish a project. Because let's talk with Mr. Hideki Kamiya, ex-Platinum dev chief, had some thoughts when speaking with Video Games Chronicle. He was asked about having Scalebound canceled. And would it have been different if they worked with a Japanese publisher? Which I actually think is a really great pointed question, given how Xbox justified the near shutdown of Tango Gameworks. They were like, yeah, like the language barrier was tough. I never thought about that with Scalebound and how that could have created some friction here. So here's what Hideki had to say, quote, I do think things would have been different. I don't mean that if it had been a Japanese publisher, the game would have necessarily been completed and released. But I imagine the process itself would have played out differently. Japanese companies tend to be more open to new challenges. And I think the conversations would have been more positive, like, okay, so how should we approach this together? For me personally, overseas publishers seem to have a much stronger desire to see a finished product as quickly as possible. If it had been a Japanese publisher, I feel they might have given us more leeway, end quote. He did say, though, that the, quote, failure of Scalebound was ultimately the responsibility of Platinum Games, myself as director included. End quote, saying it was on him that it got canceled. So we're not pointing the finger at Xbox here, but still, I thought an interesting conversation nonetheless as we continue to cycle back to Scalebound, which I got to imagine Xbox has to have some type of conversation about, do we bring this back? Because it is one of the most high profile canceled games. It is the only one that can generate headlines. Like Prey 2 did a little bit, but Scalebound's like the one. I feel like this is the one that if you can bring back any of them in this whoa moment, this would definitely be it, because Kamiya still talks about it. Phil still talks about it. Like, so I wonder if they'll kiss and make up here. But Cog, your thoughts on what Kamiya had to say? Because he has said, according to this article here from Pure Xbox 6 months ago, they'd love to return to Scalebound and get the project going again. So they're open. Of course, they're looking for work, but they're open to it. Your thoughts on the Scalebound saga continuing over a decade later?
Bro, it will not stop, right? Shout out to the Kami. Look, one thing I give myself a little credit. I mean, during the investigative phase of who was at fault, and I always felt I've interviewed Kamiya, you know, very proud individual, passionate individual. That man's block game on Twitter is crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. If you don't like what you saying, if you talking slick, I ain't even say nothing slick to the man. I got blocked. I don't even know why I got blocked. I can't even. I'm like,
I got blocked for celebrating something he posted. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I don't know what this is about, but God bless. I still love you though. You wilding on your Twitter. That's what we dealing with, right? So for me, when the initial news happened, And he kind of gave inklings like, yeah, we didn't land our targets here, but appreciative of opportunity. Nothing negative to say. And this is a person who don't hold his tongue. So I'm like, that's you, fam. You know what I mean? And again, when we talk about studios jerking off the cash or whatever, it was like, I'm not going to be disrespectful to Platinum, but at that time, but it's just like, clearly there were check-ins. And as far as, okay, where are we at with this? What's going on? And from my understanding, obviously the way he explained it, it's like it was the main protagonist almost looked like a Devil May Cry kind of guy with headphones, remember? Yeah. And then you had the dragon. So apparently it was like two separate things. And we're talking Xbox One era hardware. Not series. We talk about Jaguar CPUs and ESRAM and that era of what they was trying to do. So I'm assuming them frames was like 15 frames, whatever the phrase was. Frames were not probably framing, and they probably had a lot of issues, right? So that's what I had to guess from a technical standpoint. And this is a super ambitious process. But I will say this. I like what he said in reference to the difference between dealing with Japanese publishers versus American publishers, and that, they look at these type of technical things as a challenge, right? Mm-hmm. And they feel like they are really locked in to try to get that done and then maybe allow more leeway. Unfortunately, I feel in American development cycles, it's probably like, hey, you got 4 or 5 years to get this thing going. And if we don't see it, that cost, that rising cost is going to loom over the project. And people want to, eventually come to you and say, hey, how realistic is it from what you're showing us now to it actually releasing? And I think ultimately that's what probably doomed them. It was just like the challenges were so great, they probably maybe needed a couple more years, if they were going to do it. And it just wasn't enough time, and thus they got shut down. But look, I think that he clearly loves this project because he's mentioned this now 3 to 4 times. He wants this project. I think I will say this. It would break the internet if his new studio, was it Clover's?
Yeah.
And you see that PNG and that JPEG, and you see, like, it would be a full circle moment. Because I will say this, as much as we talked about studio closures, whatever, if they had like an Xbox, a global publishing deal or whatever, and they were able to show proof of concept of where they are, what it could look like. And I think Phil would be willing to have a conversation with those guys, you know what I'm saying? Provided, they can prove where they're at. Because I think it's clear as day they want to do it. But that's what it is interesting that this is the story that won't go away, kind of thing. So
you gotta imagine when they keep picking it up, that there's something afoot, at least that's how I think about it, Yeah. This idea of like continuously bring it up. I feel like they only do it if there's like a chance of some way that it comes back. If it's once and it's answering a question, that's different. But when it's like a continuously, I would work on it. Yeah, let's talk about Scalebound again and again and again. Like
he literally asked, "Hey," I remember one interview. He's like, "Hey, Phil, hit me up. Let's do it." Yeah, I remember him literally begging out the Phil. I'm like, yo, I've never seen Kanye
that was
like
also
this.
Pre Ninja Gaiden 4, where we thought there was a little desperation when he was at Platinum, which is true. But he's still kind of talking like this even at Clover's now. So there's a willingness there. I mean, Xbox was willing to find a partner studio for Ninja Gaiden 4. Maybe they need a similar thing here to kind of keep things in check with Scalebound. Like Hideki Creative with his team Creative, and then like what's a tech team that makes sure that we can do this without the 15 frames, maybe, something like that. But I do think there's a chance this comes back just by sheer conversation alone, right? Because we've seen it too many times in the past. Like you only talk like this when maybe there's a little something picking up. So who knows when, but it would be a pretty magical announcement. I think if this is ever going to happen, I don't think they do a title card reveal. Like I think announce it when it's close.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. Yeah, we've been through that.
This is one that I don't think we want to announce early.
You're right. You got to be, good call out. Like it's done. They've already working on. They've signed the contractual stuff, and then we get like a Ninja Gaiden 4 moment where they show you something else, and then it's like, boom, and now you see it moving in action and, more of a, that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Well, Kai, that's the news. There you go. We did it. We actually did it in time for you. So
appreciate you.
You're going to sign out now.
Yes.
I'm sticking around. Anything you'd like to say to our lovely Dukes before you go?
Yeah, well, first off, I'm always fun in the realm of the Dukes, and it's like a big week. I appreciate you guys dealing with me on limited capacity for this one, but stay tuned. We got some surprises, and I think I might be able to, from a little live from Tokyo situation. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I got my setup, and I just got to work out the time differences with you.
Yeah.
And but I think I can pull it off on one of these weeks. And I'm obviously going to test things out from a network perspective.
Yeah. Make sure that Tokyo Wi-Fi is looking nice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then maybe from there I can give you some post TGS information for the realm of the Dukes. That's what I'm thinking. So probably that following week after the show, that'd be a great Wednesday. That'd be good.
All right, cool. Right, well, sir, love you dearly. Have fun in Tokyo. Safe travels.
Thank you.
And we'll talk soon when you land, I guess.
Yes, absolutely.
Excellent. All right, everybody. We're going to transition over and you're stuck with me now. All right, just me. Hey, I actually don't need headphones for this because I don't need to hear anyone except myself. Let's keep going, though, here. We got Zenimax Online Studios wants to make some new stuff here. This is interesting to me because they're still talking like there's a future beyond ESO, despite the cancellation of Project Blackbird. I apologize if you can hear the lawnmower. That's got to be coming through. That shit's mega loud. I've never heard it that loud before. I'm sorry. Well, someone was mowing the lawn outside. If y'all heard that, sorry. Okay, let's continue on, though. So in a new interview with GameIndustry.biz, Nick Giacomini and Rich Lambert, who are both at ZeniMax. I've actually had the opportunity to interview Rich once before. It was when I was at QuakeCon 2018. Really nice guy. I talked to him about I forgot what it was called, but the Black Marsh addition to Elder Scrolls Online. That's when I spoke to him. And so early days, right? But anyway, they talked about the ESO fan base, but also their future as a studio, saying, quote, I don't think you can ride one thing into forever. I mean, obviously, we want ESO to be successful. We want that to be the 30-year MMO and commit to it. But if you put all your eggs in one basket, there's issues. I want to make more games. I'm not done yet. This is Lambert speaking. And the team continues to want to make more games as well. I have lots of ideas. Hopefully, we'll be able to share those at some point. End quote. The shitty part about this is it's up to Xbox at the end of the day. And, I think it's very easy to over-glorify canceled games. I mean, it probably sounded like to many of you, I was doing that earlier with Perfect Dark. A lot of my stance on that was really that Perfect Dark is from brand new from the ground up Xbox studio they're trying to forge on themselves. And when it's something like that, I think that situation is a little bit different from your standard Contraband, where, hey, this is a partnership thing. It's not working out versus hey, we're building this, and obviously there's an existing thing known as the sunk cost fallacy, but we should try to press on and give this game as much life as we can, even if it's sometimes against business rationale, because this is our own operation and getting it working. So I know I'm talking about multiple levels of nuance within canceled games here, but in this case here, there's a shown desire, but a lot of the people who were spearheading, what was behind Project Blackbird are now gone, including Matt Firer, who is I think one of the big faces from Bethesda that you never wanted to see leave. Passion, enthusiasm, a vision, loved by his team, might I add. And given the conversation we had with Randy, a really big point there, and just what a good leader can do for your studio, the pipeline, the morale, the culture. There's obviously very tangible things with game development that we talk about, like pipelines, but there's also the intangibles and how invaluable those are. So losing someone like him is tremendous. And I'm glad that they still want to make these games, but now you've lost the guy who was kind of, I think, the lead push, and his exit was in protest, right? So with all of that in mind, it's now Xbox really has them where they want them. It's okay, you no longer have the guy who holds the keys to the castle. We've got a new guy at the top, and best of luck getting through to Xbox on a project that, by the way, again, the difference in the conversation here is we have reports that Matt Booty, Phil Spencer, very much impressed by this game, and they were just about to put hundreds of thousands of dollars into hardware to build this game further. They got the green light on this. This thing was full steam ahead as far as ZeniMax knew. That'll always be, to me, I know COG, as he talks about with the initiative, irks him the most. For me, it'll always be ZeniMax. Always be ZeniMax. I'm just I don't get how you go from we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on equipment to, oh, right, we're shutting this down. That's just some rushed ass reactionary energy to me that I'll never be crazy about. So I'm glad ZeniMax wants to make new games, but so do many developers. I'm sure the Call of Duty developers want to make many new games, but the soul-crushing reality of this can be, not that it is, but can be, as it is with just many teams, not just those under Xbox. But in the case of Xbox, it's like, it's money-making time. ESO makes money. We don't want you to take a chance. We're glad you want to create things, but this is what we talked about a bit with fostering that creative environment. And the importance of it is they've kind of made a anti-creative environment in a lot of ways. Like, this is the safe thing. ESO's the safe thing. And they want it to be 30 years. So does Xbox. And they want you to keep making lots of money like ESO always has. And no doubt they already foresee the bump ESO will get with Elder Scrolls 6. I mean, a lot of people look at like ESO dying with ES6, and I'm like, no, they're going to push it harder than ever then. You know, it's got a long life ahead of it, and rightfully so. It's a great game. So again, couldn't think of better developers to have the chance to flex their muscles. I just hope they don't. I mean, they were building a whole new engine for Blackbird. And so in my brain, I'm like, do they still keep that, or are they trying to figure out something that can work on a third-party engine, so getting support for it's easier? Because after what happened with Halo Infinite, that was a nightmare. You know, hiring talent and outsourcing help is much more difficult. Like, is that not worth it to Xbox? Like, proprietary engines? And so what do they keep from Blackbird and what do they ditch, I guess, is my question. So, and that's if anything at all. They might just start from scratch. But again, if like the pipeline from what I've heard was really great and like things are moving well, it's like, what are we starting from scratch exactly outside of the ideas of the project itself? So, you know, pardon me if I pause the drink here. Normally I lean on Cog or whoever our co-host is to give me those moments to pause, take a sip, take a breath, exhale. I don't really have that luxury right now. So if there's any awkward silences, you're just have to bear with me here. But just unfortunate to see the situation ZeniMax is in. I hope they get to make new stuff is my real response to this story. This next one is a shame Cog isn't here to take his victory lap. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3. We've got some headlines for you. First one, it is going to be multi-plat, and that's really great to see. The Final Fantasy VII Twitter account says the following. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrave arrives on Nintendo Switch, Xbox Series X and S, and Xbox on PC January 22nd, 2026. That's not all. The Remake Trilogy will also be making its way to Switch 2, Xbox Series X and S, and Xbox on PC, as well as PlayStation 5, Steam, and Epic Game Store. So this is a big deal, right? This is what COG's also been pushing for a while, is that the multi-plat push is going to be real for Part 3, because there was some divide on like, hey, how successful was Rebirth? How successful was 16? Of course, we still debate that in the Duke audience, and of course get into our little arguments with our audience on that. Remake Part 3, though, whatever it ends up be calling, something, going multi-plat is huge. I'm really excited to see how well this does, and it obviously is it makes a lot of sense with the recent business moves at Square. They're porting the games over, they're getting the audience caught up. You know, we already know Crisis Core was over on Xbox from the start. This lawnmower is so goddamn loud. I have my windows closed and everything. I apologize again if it's getting caught on the microphone. Cannot predict these things, but welcome to the Mr. Matty experience. And also just welcome the podcast, I guess, right? Because normally I just stop my recording and like redo this stuff, but we just got to roll with it with podcasts, because like, how do you get like 3-4 hours of just dead silence? You don't. But hopefully these lawnmowers cut it out soon. I love how as they get close again, this is going to be hilarious if no one can hear it. They're like, Jesus Christ, dude, move on. All right. No more distractions. 7 Remakes Part 3 going multi-plat. This goes in line with what we expected with Square Enix, of course, right? We had a feeling that they were going to go this way with getting everything over, Crisis Core being their day one, Remake getting moved over, finally Rebirth getting moved over, just expediting that process as best they can, and getting everyone caught up for the big Part 3. Square, again, I know there's been debates, but the fact that there was even debate, I think, is reason alone for Square's recent actions. Like, there was debate. Is 15 success or 16 successful? Is it not successful? Yes, no, yes, no, yes. It ends in a yes, but it took a while to get there. There's a lot of caveats to the conversation, but the reality is that out the gate, it was not this bang up, like high profile success. There's a lot of ways people slice it up, like, oh, well, it was a launch PS5 game, not a lot of units out there. Like, I'm not trying to take away from 16. I'm just trying to say that at the end of the day, there was a part of Square Enix that thought to themselves, this should have done better. That is the reality of the situation. So how are they going to make things right? They're going multi-plat. They're partnering with Xbox. They're bringing things to Switch. The fact that this bad boy will be day one on Xbox, Switch, and PlayStation, and PC is huge. And I bet they're really encouraged because Rebirth's PC numbers earlier this year were excellent. So looking at that, this game will be gigantic. I think this can beat 15. 15 had a great marketing campaign, had a lot going into it. It was also on every platform. Was the Windows edition delayed though? I'm trying to remember if it was on PC day one. But it was on Xbox and PlayStation at least. And 15 killed it. It didn't kill it enough because the game was in development for so long. But with Square, this is the most ideal situation, right? Because 7 Remakes trilogy has been the exact opposite of development hell. It's been a development haven. The fact that, think about Remake. Remake was really impressive. It finally comes out. It's excellent. I love that game so much. Rebirth comes out. I am so impressed by how big that game is, how much of an upgrade it is in every way. The combat's better. It's like Kingdom Hearts 2 combat. It feels amazing. The locales are wonderful. The activities and side quests are engaging. The side like mini games are deep. There's so much to this game, and it was made in such a 4 years. And now they're already saying 7 Remake Part 3 is already on a good, they're ahead of schedule. Don't be surprised if this game's out by 27, early 28. Don't be surprised. This is going to sneak up on you. As someone who has, as you've seen many times in the show, been caught off guard where, oh, wait to play this thing until it's ready and then I'll dive in and catch up. Start catching up now if you have yet to, because this is not one of those situations. Square is not moving like that right now where they're taking forever to get their next entry out. They're actually doing it, I think, as ideally as you can get in today's development climate where, granted, we had to jump from PS4 to 5 between Remake and Rebirth, just given when Remake came out, though. But we have the opportunity to see this full trilogy come out in under a decade, which is great. It's still a long time, but I'm really stoked for them. I hope this ends up doing really well for them, and I have all the high hopes in the world for 7 Remake Part 3 and the playable characters it'll bring. Of course, the music it will bring, Sephiroth. Come on. It's going to be amazing. Just so much to be excited about for this one, especially after Rebirth. And I'm curious, again, how they land the plane. There's a lot of questions of the story. Remake went off the rails, and it was a really interesting way of portraying the narrative going off the rails. Rebirth felt a little bit more on the rails. There were some changes, of course, but it felt more like a faithful remake. So what direction are they going with the finale of this? A lot's going to come together. I just hope for one thing, and that's more Zack. I want more Zack. That was the only thing I was a little bit disappointed about with 7 Rebirth, is a little bit more Zack. Otherwise, though, multi-plat, great choice here. But there's a little bit more, and we have a write-in on it. Final Fantasy VII Remake is getting streamlined progression. They write on their Twitter account, introducing brand new streamlined progression features in Final Fantasy VII Remake integrate on Switch 2, Xbox Series X and S, and Xbox on PC. What does that mean? You'll always have maximum HP and MP. You'll always deal 9,999 damage to enemies, and you'll always have the max number of items with some exceptions. This is basically your story mode difficulty, right? We have the write-in here from Mr. Jim Bob. He says, hey there, Dukes. Maddie complained about people not writing in the other week. You poked the bear, good sir. And you know what I did? Hey, 40 plus write-ins. We love to see that. That makes me very happy. With the confirmation of Final Fantasy VII, Rebirth, and Part 3 coming to Xbox and Nintendo Switch 2, Square Enix also announced streamlined progression features. This sets you basically to be invincible, have full MP, and deal max damage and more. While accessibility can never be a bad thing, a question sprung to mind. Could this be at all related to player habits on Xbox? Though it's not launching on Game Pass, the get in and drop out if you don't like it mentality is no doubt existent, if not prevalent. Could this be Square trying to make it as easy as possible for Xbox players to pull their... Sorry, let me read that. Could this be Square trying to make it as easy as possible for Xbox players to pull that purchasing trigger and placate casuals, or am I glugging too hard from the hamster bottle of conspiracy? Much love to all of LSM as always. Thank you, Jim Bob, for writing in. Respectfully, I do disagree with your writing. I don't think this is about Xbox player habits. If it's in Game Pass, I still don't think it's about Xbox player habits, because that player habit drop in, drop out. Drop in, drop out applies to Game Pass. So let me be very clear about this. That applies to Game Pass. Like even Machine Games just said that, right? They're like, we know how Xbox Game Pass goes. Like some people just fire it up, leave, never come back. Sucks. Purchasing and dropping though is always been a thing. It's less likely when you put your money into it, but just look at trophy and achievement metadata. Tons of people don't finish the games they buy. Like the fact that it's a high percentage would be like, when you get to the final story trophy or achievement, it's like 30%. Whoa, 30% of people who bought the game finished the thing that they paid like $70, $80 for. It's crazy to think about. So no, I don't think this is a response to Xbox player habits, because it's not on Game Pass, and the get in, drop out thing, even when they spend money, is still very much a thing. I know many of us listening, like I try to finish everything I play, right? Within reason. Because to me, when I drop something, that means there's something substantial. Like when I dropped Assassin's Creed Shadows, that was substantial to my audience, because they were like, whoa, he doesn't drop games. Like, why is he dropping this one? And that was like the crux of my review / impressions video. I was like, yeah, you've already played this one, and I have too, and it's not good, Like it's just that simple. In the case of this though, a lot of people do end up dropping games, unfortunately, even the ones they pay for. So why is this here? Well, this is here because, this is going back to the old Final Fantasy ports. They've added the fast forward, the invincibility, the unlimited mana, unlimited HP, unlimited items, turning off encounters. And honestly, in the older games, that was really good, because in those older games, like a lot of, especially famously Final Fantasy VIII, is really unbalanced if you go a certain direction. Being able to be invincible and just wipe encounters or turn them off completely is a great quality of life feature for old games that you don't want to have tweaked. In the case of Remake, to me, it's just bringing these types of features forward. If people want to just play the game for the story, and that's a great reason to play it, these stories are amazing and heartfelt, and you're not into action games, why not? I think it's pretty inoffensive at the end of the day. I get it, because for some people it devalues it. Like, you could just choose this and get rid of all of your pain. Like, it's why FromSoft games are deeply respected, because when you know you can't turn it off and you have to abide by the game's rules and what it's set for itself, it does make the challenge real. And Rebirth has some really challenging optional fights. That challenge, or in Remake as well, becomes a lot less real when you know, oh, I could just flip this switch and all my health would be fine. I get it. I've developed that kind of thought process since Nier Automata, one of my favorite games ever, but also, a game that, like, the fact that you could buy trophies in it, it sucks that there's a platinum with a caveat. It's maybe a shitty example in the conversation of difficulty, but when you're grinding for that platinum and I play it the authentic way and I get my platinum trophy legitimately, there's a little bit of a weird feeling. No, like I could have just bought the platinum. I have friends who straight up guilt-free bought the platinum. And I just find that, I don't know, like I don't judge them for it because I get it, but it shortchanges your efforts as a player. So I get why the existence of it is a problem for some. But at the end of the day, this is not new. This is in Final Fantasy ports. It's in another one. And genres aside, like in Souls-likes, I have more of a deeper conversation on it. But in a case like this, even at its toughest, I don't view Remake and Rebirth as these crunchy RPGs that are so ball-bustingly hard, like a Dark Souls or something, where it's like, oh, you're kind of removing the purpose of the game. Like, there's so many other reasons to play these games beyond their challenge. So it doesn't shortchange it for me. I'll still play it, on normal difficulty or whatever I find adequate for my experience. And I think for those who do use it, which I don't know if that number is high or low, it's good for them. But do I think it's in response to Xbox player habits? No, not at all. I would not go that far as to blame Xbox fans for accessibility options being available. I understand the thought process because of Game Pass, but it's, even if it was a Game Pass game, I still would not think this way in particular. But thank you for the write-in, Mr. Jim Bob. And let's keep chugging along here. What do we got up next here? Oh, this one. This is another COG topic. I usually, if I'm honest with you guys, these are ones I have a little bit less to say on personally. You'll notice if you pay close attention to the show, there's some I literally immediately kick the topic to COG, let him get his bars off, and then I kind of move things along, maybe a couple sentences or two. This is one of those COG subjects, but still, I think worth acknowledging to the best of my ability. So, was one of those silent drinking moments. See, you're going to have to get used to that. Battlefield 6 developer says working on Xbox Series S improved the entire game. Speaking with Kotaku, Christian Bull, the technical director on Battlefield 6, talked about running into crashing issues on Series S and how it took a month or two to resolve those issues. The team took lots of data from testing and used it to optimize the Series S experience, in turn making the whole game better and more stable on other systems. So here's the direct quote. Thank you to Pure Xbox for the summarization. Quote, Xbox Series S does have less memory than even our mid-spec PC. And so there was one point, I want to say like 6 to 12 months ago, where we kind of realized that a lot of our levels were crashing on Xbox Series S. We were doing so much testing. We were collecting data. Once we kind of started running all of our levels through it, we were able to see where the problems were. And after a month or two, we kind of have resolved all of our memory issues on Series S. And in turn, the optimization paid off. It's running at 1080, 60 frames on Series S. And I tried the beta on Series S and was very impressed by it, as I noted on Duke a few weeks ago. Neo JD has the write-in. He says, Maddie with no fatty cog, playing with the big old hogs. Did you see the Battlefield 6 technical director Christian Bull said that working on Series S made the whole game better and more stable? Sounds like Tim Sweeney's point. No. Between the Switch 2 and the rumored lower power PS6 SKUs, do you think game optimization will start to be a main focus once again? Thanks, and have a Micah can't tell the difference between Coltrane and God kind of day. Thank you for the write-in, Neo. All right, so yeah, I've had extensive conversations about optimization. I've talked to, again, I've mentioned this in videos. I talked about it before. Game art is a science, and if I tried to explain it, I'd probably fail because it is such a deep process that requires years and years of schooling and experience. And I am seeing this really up close and personal with our own game. Working on what we call the wiggle, the what good looks like, just to pass a little inside knowledge along, developing methods that are sustainable and reusable, not just for now, but future games, and making sure they look continuously good aside from genre. It has been really fascinating watching our absolutely incredible art director get into his craft, research, study, and he has a mile-long document that I've been watching him build of defining what makes a game look good while also being efficient on making that thing look good. He takes optimization very seriously. Our programmer has a potato PC that he tests our game on because that's kind of our benchmark. And if we can get it running well on that, then we're in a good spot for the bigger PCs out there. Not that our method's foolproof. Obviously, right now, we're learning a lot of things, but to the point here about optimization and Sweeney's point, it's something and our whole team has really tried to put at the forefront because we are watching these companies fail. And I'd like to say that, it's funny reading Neo's writing. It sounds like game optimization will be a main focus again. And I just do wonder if there is this world where developers did stop to care at all. Or again, it goes back to what I've talked about in our Unreal Engine 5 video on my Mr. Manny channel of this situation where you give these developers these really powerful tools and you can brute force it. I have a 3080 when we're testing our game and it's running well on it. It's like, oh, great, we're good. It's yeah, but what about our programmer's potato PC? How's it running over there? Are we implementing scalers to make sure that, when certain VFX pop off that we're not completely chugging the frames on certain rigs? I mean, it's tough. The reason optimization has also gotten tough beyond engines and power and lack of responsibility is also just more SKUs to develop for. And so I don't know quite yet for sure if developing for the lowest level and then if it works there, it works all the way up is the responsible way of doing it. But it does support what Tim Sweeney said, which is that developers are struggling to optimize. Battlefield 6 is a beautiful video game, looks really good. Runs really well. It's a wonderful, we're just talking tech right now about the quality of the game and whatnot. We'll discuss when the game comes out. But Battlefield 6 is really good looking. It pushes technical boundaries. There's a lot of destruction, a lot of players on screen, a lot happening all over the place. And you got it running really well on Series S. Is there the resolution concession? For sure. I played it on my 4K projector. I felt you could see it, but it also was not this unmanageable thing. Again, going back to what I've said before, about I think developers very much, if they're listening, I hope they take it to heart. I do think a lot of developers really value fidelity way more than they should. And sometimes I know it's not their call. Like, we want realism every step of the way, and we think this will help our game sell. A lot of developers have data that shows that, graphics are more important than anything else because that's the first thing you see. It's the first thing you remember. And if it makes a good impression, your game's going to sell more. And no doubt when a game's pretty, it adds to it. That the game has atmosphere, it has aura to it. It does add something. I'm not undervaluing it that way, but I do think when developers are making these games and they think just realism and just pretty graphics alone, it does their overall product a disservice. And that general art direction has become a bit of a lost form. And I think as AI becomes more prevalent in game development, it's going to become more and more of a lost form. So, yeah, I think Sweeney's point still holds true. I think optimization training is needed. Series S with Battlefield 6. I mean, it's another example, right, where it seems to mystify certain developers, but others are saying, like, yeah, it helped us. And this goes back to what we said about talent levels and the issues some are having with it versus others. So yeah, the Series S helping Battlefield 6 checks out. We'll see if other developers follow suit and go on from there. Next up, Grand Theft Auto 6 is getting delayed again. It's a rumor, but it's possible. This comes from Tom Henderson, who has said that it's not enough information to report on, but in a conversation on his podcast, he does say he thinks we're looking at October, that there are rumblings, but they're not good enough to corroborate to a report on. But his gut feeling right now is that the game will not launch next May. He then followed it up, as written by Pure Xbox. Again, great site. I can't recommend them enough. Saying GTA 6's publisher will probably announce a delay in their next financial call, which is late November. If it does get delayed, that is. So, yeah, man, I mean, I feel bad for developers just accounting for this game. We saw Sucker Punch. Nate Fox recently talked about the relief, the party, that there's still a hangover from the party that GTA 6 got delayed out of this fall. This game's hanging over the head of a lot of developers. I'll be honest, again, not to pull myself into it constantly, because I hope I don't sound like an egomaniac, but like, it hangs over us a little bit too, because we think about it and we're like, this thing could just keep getting pushed and keep getting pushed, because Rockstar just said it will be the biggest game launch in gaming history. And that is true. That is absolutely true. I have no doubts in my mind this will be that big. I don't think it's one of those things where we're all overstating the point. When it comes out, it'll be a little more flat than expected. This will be a takeover. I mean, look at the numbers for the trailer. Look at how many people who are not gamers know about it. Look at the reach it has. And especially nowadays with how prevalent social media, streaming, clip sharing, all that stuff is, Grand Theft Auto 6 will be enormous. A most obvious statement I've made this whole show. I say all that because when you have such an assured success, like, this is going to make money for at least a decade, be a top seller for at least a decade, you take whatever time you need. It doesn't matter. It is going to be an absurdly big and polished game if prior Rockstar launches are anything to go by. And they're one of the few companies that, with the time they are afforded, they do make it count. That said, man, it hangs over teams. People want this thing out yesterday, not just as fans, but like, I know developers are just like, oh God, they might delay to October. We're thinking October. And everyone's what I'm so excited about is when they actually commit to this release date. What developers blink and how clear the landing zone is made around GTA 6. Because think of it this way. Every time a game comes out, right, it seems like there's always something the following day. It's always something the next week. How clear is the landing zone for GTA 6? And how does it affect, how long do you delay? If you're launching, say, October 26th alongside GTA 6, it gets delayed to there. Is a month enough? Do you need to wait multiple months till people get tired of GTA 6? It's a tough conversation. I'm hoping it comes out as soon as possible just because I want the game. I want to see this thing live up to the hype. I think it would be amazing if it did. I also understand it requires a lot of time, and Rockstar is capable of delivering in that time frame. I also do recognize the net negative of Rockstar taking this time, because a lot of teams have used that as justification for their own delays. Like, oh, if we take the time Rockstar does, we can deliver that quality. It's like, no. Let's not get carried away there. They're top of the line. I say as someone who's not like a gigantic super fan of their games, but admittedly, I'm kind of in my Kojima pocket with them. For those who have listened to Summon Sign and Retro Rebound, you know what I mean? As in, like, I have light experience with their stuff, but not enough to be like full send fanboy of them. You know, like I haven't played GTA 3. I'd never finished 4. I really enjoyed 5. San Andreas is great. Like I have experience on my belt. Same thing here. Like that Kojima level of where I was at with him with Metal Gear. So maybe I'll understand more as I go back to kind of the essence, like starting with 3 and maybe going through the definitive edition or something like that. But admittedly, I'm waiting for a lot of that until I know that Rockstar is actually going to deliver this game to me. So time will tell. But this delay, man, I mean, I feel bad for the devs launching next year. I felt bad for the devs launching this year, and I feel bad for them launching next year because everyone's dancing around this thing. If there's one game, like, okay, there was a headline from the Hell Is Us director who was kind of like saying that, you know, shadow dropping Silksong was a little bit of a, oh, wow, you know, don't like that. That's the vibe I got from the answer when he spoke on the FPS podcast. And I don't really agree with that sort of stuff because, again, you know, you got to be willing to move your date if you think it's going to be negative for your game. It's like, if you want to intentionally shoot yourself in the foot, then be my guest. With GTA 6, I'm a lot more sympathetic because I think this game is the fucking real deal. And I do think it's going to fuck over a lot of games. You know, and Rockstar's being courteous, I guess. Take-Two's being courteous. They're giving you ample heads up in the case of the May delay. But I really am wondering if this will hit May. I hope it does. But I think it's that game that I have very little excitement for GTA 6, not because of the game itself, but just because it's one of those things I'll believe it when it's installed on my hard drive and I'm actually playing, or my SSD, and I'm actually playing it. That's when I'll believe GTA 6 is real. Until then, though, it's nothing but a trailer on the internet. Okay, let's move along here. This next one's very interesting because there's been a lot of debate about it. Nintendo's new patent. Is it industry changing? Eurogamer has a very interesting and I think informed article on this one because they actually brought in a lawyer to talk about this one. It's actually not our resident Hogue Law. It's a former Nintendo lawyer. Now, we know Nintendo and their patent infringement lawsuit with Palworld is still an ongoing conversation, and that has to deal with creature catching and whatnot. Well, let's read this article from Eurogamer because I think it puts into light another dangerous patent that Nintendo's putting forward. They say the new patent granted last week by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office covers the gameplay mechanic of summoning a sub-character to let it fight another. The patent application was filed in March 2023 and has been granted without objection. Such a patent would not only implicate Palworld with its monster summoning and battling, but many games from long-standing rival Digimon to forthcoming Honkai, Nexus Anima, and Doke-V, as well as indies like Temtem and Cassette Beasts. There's a number of steps in the patent pertaining to the gameplay mechanic as it follows. 1, a non-transitory computer-readable storage medium having stored therein a game program, the game program causing a processor of information processing apparatus to execute. 2, performing control of moving a player on a field in a virtual space based on a movement operation input. And 3, performing control of causing a sub-character to appear on the field based on the first operation input. And 4, when an enemy character is placed at a location where the sub-character is caused to appear, controlling a battle between the sub-character and the enemy character by a first mode in which the battle proceeds based on an input operation. And 5, don't worry, there's only one more here after this, when the enemy character is not placed in the location where the sub-character is caused to appear, starting automatic control of automatically moving the sub-character that has appeared. And 6, last but not least, performing control of moving the sub-character in a predetermined direction on the field based on a second operation input, and when the enemy character is placed at a location of a designation, controlling a battle between the sub-character and enemy character by a second mode in which the battle automatically proceeds. All of these steps, as Eurogamer writes, must be followed for Nintendo to have a case, but in theory, it could launch an infringement lawsuit against a number of games with this patent now in place. But is this patent enforceable through further lawsuits from Nintendo? Don McGowan, a former chief legal officer at the Pokemon Company, believes the patent will likely be ignored. Quote, I wish Nintendo and Pokemon good luck when the first other developer just entirely ignores the patent. And if those companies sue the developer shows decades of prior art, end quote. He told Eurogamer, adding, quote, this isn't Bandai with the loading screen patent, end quote. Continuing on, he says, the filing for such patent protection indicates Nintendo does intend to pursue a legal strategy in defending itself against entrants in the pocket monster genre. Game industry lawyer, Hogue is here, I missed this part, told Eurogamer. But that strategy may or may not, Hogue's favorite, may or may not involve lawsuits, as the muddying of the waters affected by the patent's existence may be enough to deter investment in and creation of competitors. That is, if Nintendo looks like it could pounce, that may be enough. No actual pouncing required, end quote. I can hear it in his voice right now. What's more, the patent is broad, and Nintendo won't want to jeopardize seeing it narrowed in the context of a legal challenge, Hogue explained. So yes, it's enforceable insofar as it's been granted, Hogue said, but Nintendo likely knows it got away with one here and would prefer not to make a court actually sign off. What's more worrying for Hogue is whether the US PTO is up to the task when it comes to game patents. Law and technology are often strange bedfellows, and in my opinion, the Patent Office has appeared out of its depth on evaluating video games for quite some time. It may be time for reform there. At the least, the patent is clearly, something with words like that, clearly worrying for the games industry in the face of creativity and developer freedom, as Pocket Pair has already altered its gameplay in Power World as part of its ongoing lawsuit with Nintendo. Fuck this, dude. Like, I'm sorry. Like, this is the thing that Nintendo fans in unison should push against, because it's bad for gaming. It's bad for their own games. Competition is good. I mean, ask Nintendo, right? Let's think about the fact that they're doing Pokemon Pokopia, which is a blatant rip on Minecraft, on their own franchise, and Animal Crossing. Why is it okay for you, but not for others? You're ripping others, right? You're creatively inspired, because that's how the world goes around in creativity. You're inspired by others' art, and you want to riff on that, improve it. So how in the world does a patent get through here where Nintendo now protects something like this? I mean, and there are games that already exist with these mechanics in it. As mentioned in the article, Digimon immediately came to mind. Like, Time Strangers coming out later this year. Was Nintendo interested in enforcing that? If Power World tries anything funky, are they going to try to enforce that? This is bad for two reasons. One, think about what happened with, I believe this was a trademark, by the way. But think about the loading screen issue with Bandai. Think about what happened with the Nemesis system. No one goes near the Nemesis system. In fact, the closest we've gotten is Ken Levine with Judas, apparently, as he referenced it directly in his PlayStation blog article. But otherwise, no one comes near that system at all, because it was trademarked, protected. And so it's like you can't touch it. What this encourages is it's always going to be, we're like one domino push away from another publisher being like, well, we're going to protect our stuff. If you're going to protect your stuff, all bets are off. We're going to protect our stuff. All of a sudden, you're going to start to need permission. I want to make a turn-based game. I have to check with Square Enix, who's now trademarked turn-based combat somehow. Patented turn-based combat. I'm just in that kind of dystopian mindset of like, I have to check with people to make certain things. That's not art, dude. And it's so weird for Nintendo, a company that understands the value of making games and creative freedom and iteration, to go in this direction because Power World scared them so fucking senseless that they've just moved so legally aggressive. So I find this to be a threat. Maybe not in the way where it's actionable, like Hogue said, I take his words over mine, but as a deterrent. When you spend so many years on a thing, do you want to risk spending so many years on a thing? And Nintendo says, well, that's a threat to Pokemon. I don't think we want this to be a threat to Pokemon. Oh, we got this patent in our back pocket. Let's enforce this here, especially when it's a smaller developer, because if they're not made of money like Nintendo, then they can enforce their legal will upon anyone smaller than them because they just have the money to outdo them in court, because you'll eventually tap out if they string along the case, right? It just becomes a resource game, and Nintendo has borderline infinite resources. So it's a deterrent. If you're a developer and you want to make a Pokemon style game, it's scary now. Like, that's the truth of it all. You know, maybe companies like Bandai, established one, Pocket Pair, are like, whatever, like, we're already here. We've already established ourselves. But like a cassette B style game, things like that, I would think twice. I would. Maybe, you know, some people have put out articles saying like, well, this is like really nothing. It's not really super enforceable. That's not the point. Number one, this shouldn't exist at all. But number two, if it does exist, that's reason enough just to be, again, with the amount of money you pour into a game, you don't want to do that and then just get hit by legal fees, right? It's like the same shit. You know what it gives me the energy of? For those who cover and track modding projects, this reminds me of like when you're just waiting for that impending cease and desist to hit, right? Where it's like, we're working on this fan remake for game Y, and publisher catches wind of it. They're like, oh, here's the cease and desist. Got to figure it out. Sorry. That's what I worry about. It looms over you. And as we talked about with Xbox and other situations, you can't create an environment where you got this like fucking Eye of Sauron staring down at you. You just can't. So it may not be dangerous in the terms of enforcement, at least yet, but it's dangerous in the precedent sense for other developers and publishers. More importantly, it's dangerous in that it can just prohibit creativity. Like, oh, do we want to create this sub-character summoning thing after Pokemon and Nintendo just patented this? Maybe we'll think of something else, just so that's not a challenge. Game development's already in a very safe area. This, while not every game is going to be doing exactly this, still makes it a more safe environment where creative freedom is ever so slightly prohibited. And slightly, saying ever so slightly is just honestly like defensive verbiage by me. Like, sorry, I need a drink. The reality is, like, you know, this could just be a nothing burger. But if it's not, like, this should be a signal boost for a lot of people to pay attention. Because this can, again, I just think of the domino effect. It's not really just Nintendo, but it's about other developers out there wanting to start to create their walled garden of stuff. If, like, you can start to protect mechanics that define genres and have them as your own and eliminate the competition artificially, Nintendo, then you get to survive because you're the provider of this one thing. It's a little monopolistic when you think about it. So we'll see where it goes, but not happy about this news. It sucks. All right. This next one here. Really interested to talk about it. Black Flag Remake, Assassin's Creed. Likely to be more RPG heavy. This was covered by Insider Gaming, and they were covering a video that is from Jeux Video Magazine, which has gotten some Assassin's Creed news right in the past. They've leaked stuff accurately before. They mentioned in the article here that there are several details regarding the title, like its gameplay and story. For example, the story will cut the modern day parts and add more of protagonist Edward Kenway pirating. More interestingly, it mentions that the gameplay will be more RPG based, similar to Origins and Shadows. Furthermore, the release is slated for early 26, but that can change. Remember, it was originally said that it might be coming out later this year. Hang on, my camera's really dark right now. I don't have any extra lights on in here, but it's a little cloudy out there. So gotta see the bright and happy, youthful face of Mr. Matty. Okay. Continuing on, they say it's important to note that none of this is confirmed, so take it with a grain of salt. Still, with Black Flag Remake pretty much happening, it's only a matter of time before Ubisoft confirms it. Whether or not it'll replace its cinematic combat with RPG action is unknown. Assassin's Creed Shadows' latest entry did the system justice, though. It's not a fan favorite title for longtime fans. Still, given Black Flag is fondly remembered as a great title, a remake is well deserved. So, good write up here by Insider Gaming. They have a more positive outlook on things than I do. That's why I wanted to read it. Normally it's like, well, that's their take. Readers of their site can see that. But for me, I think it just creates a little bit of balance because, like, so I did a little bit of a code switch. I was pro RPG mechanics for Assassin's Creed when it was annualized because when it was annualized, I was like, this series needs a breath of fresh air. They tried it with Origins. I am not one of the lovers of Origins when I played it. I don't know if that would change now, or if I got deep into Assassin's Creed lore, if I'd be like, oh, I get it now. I don't know. But I was not in love with Origins. It felt like the bones of a system that could be something pretty interesting, though. Odyssey, which I know people do have mixed opinions on because of its bloat and whatnot. Odyssey, I do love. I really love that game. Cassandra is an amazing protagonist. I love the setting. I love how the RPG systems breathe life into the series. Choice and consequence in the story. Gear system was fun. It felt good. It felt different. Think of that in a time capsule before you react, because I know Valhalla is next on the mind, and I get it. Yeah, like very long-winded, very egregiously lengthy game. I get it. I'm right there with you. But Assassin's Creed Shadows made me realize this series really needs to start splitting things up. Like, they need your RPG series and they need a traditional Assassin series, because a lot of the design decisions in Shadows just felt compromised because they were trying to appease all sides, and you just can't. If it's going to be an RPG, you got to go full RPG. If it's going to be stealth assassinations, I appreciate things like accessibility options. Like, hey, you want one-shot assassinations? We'll turn that on. But now you defeated the point of a ton of your RPG mechanics because they affect the damage I do. But Ubisoft is just like trapped within themselves because they can't go and do that. So for me, hearing Black Flag Remake is going to be more of an RPG. I wouldn't say pin in my balloon. It's a little extreme, but I would say a little disappointing, because I think it's the perfect time to reestablish why classic style AC games resonated with so many people. And the idea that, boat combat can be selectively engaged with if, I have the right level boat sucks. I like that it was upgrade based and resource based. That was good. That was a good progression system because it just kind of depended on my exploration and my investment of it. Not, did I get my level up? Obviously, as much as I love Odyssey, a lot of level gating. I don't want to be level gated in a big open world seafaring game. So, I'll take it with a grain of salt, and I'll obviously keep an open mind because I do like Black Flag, but I also am not thrilled to hear it's going to be more RPG heavy, because I've soured quickly on RPG heavy Assassin's Creed games. So time will tell, but I imagine let's get into this next subject, because I imagine we'll learn soon with the state of play, basically confirmed to be having next week. Honestly, by the time this goes live, for all of you, you might very well know about it by now. But as we're talking about it in this moment here, Wednesday at 1:51 p.m., September 17th, I should specify the actual date. State of play is planned for the following week. This is from Nate the Hate. When asked, will there be a Sony show, State of Play or Showcase this week or next week, you think? He says, next week. Now, we just got a State of Play with 007 First Light, but this sounds like a general showcase, and it is sounding like the full house. This sounds like the big one, right? There's been so many different leaked, rumored PlayStation titles. Venom leaked, of course. God of War, roguelike game, 2D, 2.5D kind of game. That's been floating around for a while. So much. But Insider Gaming has some scoops here. And they write, Marvel's Wolverine release window set and Venom game development ongoing, it's claimed. They write new claims about Insomniac's upcoming projects of service online. It seems that Marvel's Wolverine is targeting a 2026 release window, and the Venom project hasn't been canceled. Development is still ongoing. Marvel's Wolverine is the most anticipated project right now. Insider Gaming exclusively reported the game is likely to be placed at PlayStation's next State of Play, but now a new claim is stating Wolverine and Venom are on the way. And so they say Insomniac's suffered a massive ransomware attack in 2023, which revealed a plethora of information about upcoming projects, including Marvel's Wolverine and Venom, among others. The leaks had indicated that Wolverine will be targeting a 2026 release window, and now a report by MP First states that sources familiar with the situation have informed them Wolverine is on course for a 2026 release window. The same sources that provided information about Wolverine stated that Venom's development is ongoing. No information was revealed about the latter release window or development progress. Moreover, a different source also provided MP First with story details for Marvel's Venom. However, they were unable to verify them. Starting with the narrative claims of the Venom game, it appears that Eddie Brock, everybody's beloved Venom, will be the protagonist in the upcoming title. Anti-Venom will also be part of this game, but it isn't going to be the one we saw. That's a spoiler. I'm not gonna finish that sentence there. That's a spoiler for those who haven't played Spider-Man 2 yet. Anyway, it's just gonna be a more frightening Anti-Venom. That'll be there. Spider-Man 2299 might be featured in one of the upcoming projects. This report revealed that the Spider-Verse Miguel O'Hara or Spider-Man 2099 will be featured in one of the upcoming projects, and Insomniac Games is currently working on the character. It's unclear which game this will be part of, whether that is Venom or Spider-Man 3. My money would be on Spider-Man 3, and Venom's ending just teases that. But yeah, I mean, you get a little bit of Venom and a little bit of Wolverine here. This should be a great state of play. You throw in God of War there. I imagine Assassin's Creed Black Flag Remake has to be revealed soon, right? Like, it has to be. So maybe that's there. But a lot in the tuck for PlayStation. And we just got a big Nintendo Direct, a lot of big announcements there. Still more on the table. Tokyo Game Show, as we talked about with COG, right around the corner, so things could be shown off there. PlayStation is set to have a presence at Tokyo Game Show. Man, I forgot how solo podcasting just gets you parched. But yeah, they have a booth there, so expect some big announcements. But I have high hopes for this one. And the last state of play, by the way, ignoring 007, which was an individual one, but the last, I guess, showcase-like state of play, I thought was really good. So let's see what they got next week. September seems to be the big one. And need I bring up, anytime a state of play kicks around, you know where my brain goes. There's a reason the hoodie's on today. I immediately think of my Knights of the Old Republic remake. Oh, what I would give for an update. What I would give for a pulse. What I would give. I mean, I would do anything. It's so funny because I think about the game every week. But when I'm not thinking about it, it's like if someone mentions it, it's literally a triggering event for me. I hear it and I go on this tirade. I'm like, dude, it's so unbelievable what this game has gone through. Let me bring up the conversation I was having with a buddy of mine, because he brought up a screenshot of like all the events that have happened. He ChatGPT'd it. It was funny. Major delays in development hell, studio changes and management issues, silence and scrubbing of references from Sony's official channels, financial and corporate instability because of Embracer Group. And then the official statements from the likes of Saber Interactive have been very vague, although committal enough to say it's still happening. There's that. While there's no confirmed cancellation, all those are alone, singular speaking, reason enough for a project to be canceled. KOTOR Remake's got 5 of them. I couldn't think of a worse project for it to happen to. I really couldn't. But the thing, I need a pulse because I need to know like what's changed. Like, what was the state of this project in? Like, where, what, it's out of everything for us to not get the full Schreier deep dive on like what Sony had a problem with. Like, we heard it wasn't cinematic enough, which what a god awful. I didn't even have to see the game. What a god awful thing to say about a hardcore RPG. It wasn't cinematic enough. Like, it reeks of, we wanted this to be for the casuals. And if that was the argument, I mean, a lot of people blame Aspire, but like, I feel there could be some vindication for them in that, if that is the truth. But man, just any type of update would be great. Every time a state of play kicks around, I immediately think of it. I'm like, would they do it? But yeah, when Sony's scrubbed the references from their channels, is it because they're done with the project? Is it because marketing deals are up and they expired? And so therefore, with nothing to show for it, they have to remove it because the project got significantly delayed. Still ongoing. Is it multi-plat now? I'm really just hoping and praying for like this Dead Island 2 situation. Like, despite it all, it found a way and it was incredible. Incredible for Dead Island 2 might be a stretch, but can this come out like BioShock Infinite is a great example for me. Can it come out and still exude greatness? I hope so. I would be a very broken person for a while if this game comes out and it's bad. It's like one of the few games I would be genuinely emotional about. 76, surprisingly, like Fallout 76, given how much I care about Fallout, I wasn't super emotional about. Even Starfield. I think Elder Scrolls 6 would get me too, though, because of the wait. But KOTOR Remake, man, let there be an update, please. If it's ready to go, let's see. I mean, hold on. When did this shit get moved over to, hold on. All right. KOTOR Remake moves to Saber Interactive. Sorry, we're going to do a little professional podcasting here. Shifted from Aspire to Saber in 2022. That it's still in development in 2024. Said it's still in development in 2025. I mean, look, dude, 3 years and it was in development before that. Can a man dream? Can he? Like, it's gotta be hope, right? As you can tell, my priorities lie not with Wolverine, which, I mean, the leaked gameplay for Wolverine looked really good. I know a lot of people were kind of like, I don't know. I get why, but I guess for unpolished, I saw the potential. Maybe really good was a strong statement. Sorry, I'll take that back. It looked like it had a lot of potential. Because I remember in like X-Men Origins Wolverine, the 360 game, like lunging across battlefields and just cutting my enemy into bits. And I saw a lot of those systems at play with Insomniac's Wolverine. And so I think with some polish, this could be really good. I'm curious how much of the X-Men game Bible they study here, you know? Because with Spider-Man, they studied the Spider-Man game Bible. Like they respected Spider-Man 2 from the PS2 and Xbox, very much so. However, will they do the same thing with X-Men? It does not have as much of a storied history as Spider-Man games. You know, like you got all the suits that you got a glimpse at in Shattered Dimensions. But like, will they pull anything from X-Men Destiny? Like there's an obscure pull. Will they pull anything from Origins Wolverine? I feel like you have to. That's the most popular one. Will you pull anything from X2 Wolverine's Revenge? I love that game. Got a love-hate relationship with that one. It's a little mid, but childhood memories. Mark Hamill is Wolverine. Awesome. You know, what will they pull from? If anything at all. Will it just be the movies? I hope we see next week. Let's move on to a Colin-ass topic here. And then we will be into what we're playing. We're kind of wrapping up from there because we did things a little out of order this week. All right. Ubisoft CEO says Far Cry will have more predominantly pushed multiplayer. This is Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot. And this is the Insider Gaming article. They write that Guillemot has confirmed in a recent talk that the goal with the Far Cry series is to have more multiplayer-focused experiences. The news came during a talk at Saudi Arabia's new global sport conference where Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot talked about the future of the Far Cry series. And this is thanks to GameFile for finding it. During the conference, Guillemot said that the goal on Far Cry is to really bring multiplayer aspects more predominantly pushed so that it can be played for a long time by players. We do know there was an extraction-based shooter in Maverick that Insider Gaming reported on. That was being worked on. There's also another codename Blackbird. There we go. Same thing as Zenimax Online Studio, developing the next mainline game in Far Cry 7. Okay, so I don't know, man. I see this and I go, I don't know who's asking for this, but I also see like YouTubers like Your Raptor who cover a lot of Ubisoft stuff in the same way I cover a lot of Bethesda stuff. And then I go, well, there's people deeply engaged in these ecosystems. And the way that I think people view me with talking about Bethesda is how I view people talking about Ubisoft stuff. You know, they talk about it. They cover these updates. Like Luke Stevens covers on them a lot too. And so there's just this like live service nature to Ubisoft games that's I definitely a lot more prominent than I'd say like Bethesda stuff. But I see that and people do care a lot about this. Like Far Cry 6 had contracts and endgame content, and I thought that was the dumbest shit of all time. Like when I saw that shit, I was like, what the? I beat it, and I was like, what is this fucking game, dude? It was another reason I tore it up. I was like, this is like, look at what made Far Cry popular. Why are we so far away from that in one way, mechanically and systemically, but in the other way, we're way too close to it. Like we're way too close to Far Cry 3 for the millionth time because Ubisoft is so obsessed with past successes that they can't safely move on from them and follow them up. They're always in their sophomore slump, Ubisoft. Leaning more into multiplayer though, like I was already a fair weather Far Cry fan. Like I was one of those few people who was not, completely transformed by Far Cry 3 and found Voss to be a little bit overrated. I'll say it. Doesn't mean he's bad, but like I expected Voss to be in the game a lot more compared to what reviews were saying for me. Maybe I need to replay it. I played Far Cry 3 one single time in high school, beat it, got all the skills, saw it very thoroughly. I had enough. I respect what Far Cry 3 did for the industry in the terms of setting the template. Like this is how open world games will be for a while. I respect it a lot for that. It felt inescapable. It felt so undeniably well designed. I was like, how could you do it any differently? However, I do give a little bit more credit to developer Pandemic Studios, responsible for the likes of the Saboteur is what it's called. We'll call it the Sabotage. The Saboteur, they're responsible for that game. I give them a lot of credit for kind of figuring it out earlier. They and Ubisoft were kind of in lockstep, moving along the open world genre, pioneering that together. However, Ubisoft has become known with the Far Cry franchise for like single player, psychotic, monologuing villains, crazy settings, crazy action. And I think the co-op element of Far Cry is cool, but getting away from that for more multiplayer live servicey shit like we've seen in 6 sounds very unappealing. It sounds like a quick way to make me not a fan. But I also feel like Far Cry to me, it's like the Dragon Age of Ubisoft. Like it's the prisoner of just very inconsistent design. Like Far Cry 5, the way its story progresses and the way you're like suddenly taken prisoner during like key moments in the story so that it can move along and then let go so that you can go back in the open world is just very jarring. There was no harmony between the narrative and the gameplay. And I think that's something the Far Cry series struggles with a lot. And if you care about story, then it's very debilitating and distracting. So I'll be curious to see what Colin thinks about this, because I read this and I'm like, yeah, for a guy who loves Far Cry so much, put like 100 hours into 6, like, is he gonna take a little Far Cry 7 online only? Be interested to see what C-Man thinks. But for me, no thank you. All right. That's the news. We have like one more little bit of news, but let's talk about what I'm playing. I was about to say what we're playing, but let's talk about what I'm playing, because it's just me this week. Okay. Take a sip of water first here. Number one Ada Wong fan wrote in. Great name. It's a good day, Dukes. What are y'all's thoughts on Borderlands 4? Do you like the new gameplay features, like the grapple hook, medical stim, and the totally not from Destiny jetpack? Also, how are you liking the story and more of the Borderlands 1 style of tone? I'm curious, since you used to be a huge fan of the series, Maddie and Cog, I'm curious for a Destiny player's perspective, how it compares if you were playing it. By the way, for those who want Cog's opinion and not mine, go listen to Summon Sign, because actually Brad asked me this question. We talked about Borderlands 4 pretty extensively. So I'll try to keep it a little more summarized here, just so that people don't feel like they're doubling up and talk mostly about Trails in the Sky Remake. But if people want Cog's thoughts, because I redirected the conversation a little bit. I didn't mean to like overrule Brad. I hope it didn't come across that way. But like he asked me first and I like kicked it to Cog because I was like, I want to know what a Destiny guy thinks of this game. And spoiler, he really likes it. So yeah, give his segment a listen for sure. But Ada Wong fan wraps it up saying, thanks, and have my common assault rifle I bought from the vending machine is better than the epic one I got from a boss kind of day. Yeah, I haven't gotten any good vending machine items yet. Still working on that one. Yeah, like I've just sold hundreds of thousands worth of items, but nothing has been appealing to me or my build yet. So hopefully I get lucky soon. Okay, let's talk Borderlands 4. We already got the Randy Pitchford shit out of the way earlier in the show. If you're just skipping around timestamps and you want to hear that, front of the show. For those of you who just want to hear about Borderlands 4, look, I'm like 15 something hours in and I'm addicted, dude. I'm really impressed. Technical issues aside, which I mentioned this on Summon Sign in my own channel in 2 videos now, but this is a science project game. I had to tinker a lot on PC to figure it out, and that's why consoles are really appealing. But when the game's struggling to run on consoles as well, got a little bit of a problem there. But look, Borderlands 4 is like just insanely addicting. I really think the evolution is real here in the ways you want it to be for 3. That return to the original tone does so much for the script because it's still got that corny, cheesy Borderlands writing, but it hits a lot better when you have like a self-serious main villain, a self-serious world. Some side quests are just straight up like grim. There's one with Claptrap as well that I just played that involves him and Pandora. I don't want to spoil it for y'all. It's an early game side quest, but it involves him and Pandora. And it's very funny. But also the concluding message of it, a little sincere. And if you've been around the franchise for so long, it's a kind of interesting metaphor for where the series is at now and that letting go. I found it very good. Borderlands 4 so far is passing the sniff test on writing. It's not perfect. Again, there are some moments where I'm like, ooh, cringe is, I hate using that word, but I would say like, yeah, there's a little bit of corniness, a little bit of teenage humor, but it works well because it's balanced now. It's not the only thing you're hearing like in Borderlands 3 or in Wonderlands. And it's not like you have these abrasive like characters that are only acceptable in doses like Mr. Torg or Tiny Tina now being the main characters and being overexposed, whether it be in full DLC or in the case of Tiny Tina, full video games. The balance is just better here. But the evolution comes in some of the mechanics that Ada Wong wrote in about. Medical stim is great because I hate insta-dying in Borderlands and relying on the fight to live mechanic or whatever it's called. Final fight. I'm forgetting the exact name of it. But basically, your last stand where you're on your ass, you're shooting away, you kill an enemy, you get up, right? I became very reliant on that. And I like that this game allows me to quickly hide, heal up, and not like wait for shields to recharge or things like that. Like taking matters into my own hands. Grapple hook is great. Little too contextual. I think it could have been cool if it was like Halo Infinite where you could just attach to anything and anyone, pull yourself in melee, pull items to yourself, pull yourself up different cliff sides. It feels a little too limited. And I would have loved for it to be a little more freeform, but good and accomplishes what it's setting out to do. But definitely Halo Infinite has the grapple hook edge. Now look how wet I am now. Look at it's fucking sunny as hell now. Weather's been weird today. And then the Destiny jetpack's great because you just get to drift along big stretches of land. And there's a lot of verticality in these lands. And because there's a lot of verticality in these lands, you get to go up to high places and like drift to other high places and find hidden loot. So the exploration is really good. The best evolution is the open world so far for me because I'm not a big open world guy all the time. But why the open world has clicked with me personally is because a lot of the quest tracking with Borderlands felt very old, even up until Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, because it's all split into multiple maps, which is fine. I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of that environmental diversity to get my hands on a fluid open world where all of the markers exist in one big space. So it's not about jumping from submap to submap and trying to like guess, like, because you couldn't even sometimes preview when you were jumping from map to map, like where exactly your objective would be in that submap. So it just became a lot of fast travel, check your map. That's not the one. Or, it would tell you like where to go. If you were in a submap and you needed to fast travel, it wouldn't tell you like go all the way to this one. It would just tell you go to the next nearby area and it would tell you how to get there on foot. So the waypoint system just confused itself a lot, understandably so. It would work in that forward momentum, but when you wanted to work backwards, the system just fell apart. So that's a long way of saying I like how the open world has streamlined some of the exploration and some of the general quest directive stuff where it's just easier to play and do everything and find everything. And so I've been like going full completionist mode with this game as best as I can, at least. There's been some crashes here or there, but my performance has stabilized a little bit. And so that's been really nice. What's not been nice is this cottonmouth. It's been killing me here. But Borderlands 4, just really fun to play. Like gunplay feels good. Writing is better. Timekeeper is a great villain because he takes himself seriously. The game has its goofy moments. It has its endearing moments. It really reminds me of why I fell in love with the franchise, man. Like, again, this is why I get so frustrated with Randy because I'm just like, you don't see this often where it's like, oh, they got the mission. And they're, again, I'll give a final verdict hopefully by early next week. But, they might actually do it. They might have it. Like they actually figured it out. We'll see once I finish it all. But like right now, to be in that mindset again, it's just so surreal to me because I was so against where the franchise was going and felt like I had outgrown it. So yeah, the gunplay feels great. The weapons feel great. The build crafting feels great. I'm already kind of getting into a vibe where I think I want to respec. The Incarnate is plateauing a little bit. The Eldritch Blasts are not super strong. So I want to try the summoning stuff, see how that goes. I'm usually not a big summoner in video games outside of Diablo 4. I remember using the summoning class. I think it was called the summoner. But yeah, like it's usually not my speed, but I'll see how it goes because I used Beastmaster in Borderlands 3. And that's why I didn't want to do summoning with Vex because I was like thinking to myself, like I already kind of messed with the Beastmaster and he was good, but you're relying on your beast to do a lot of your abilities and long-term deep endgame stuff. I didn't think it felt particularly good. Whereas like the other sirens felt really good when you took matters into your own hands. So I also haven't looked up any build guides or anything because I like to figure it out for myself, call up Pride or whatever. But I've still been enjoying Vex. And I guess the best sign of optimism for this game is I can't wait to try other characters when it's all said and done. Like I want to try the guy with the battle axe. The turret chick sounds cool. Like they all sound cool. And they're adding a new Vault Hunter later. So this game's got legs, dude. I'm very excited for more. All right, next up, the new one, Trails in the Sky Remake. So this comes out on the 19th. I've had this game for a week, just gradually chipping away, little session here, little session there. I didn't go full send because I'm trying to, despite being showered with games right now, and I say that with gratitude, I've been trying to keep my focus. Like I wanted to do Metal Gear Solid 2. I stuck with that vision. Did it take away from Trails in the Sky remake time? Absolutely. But, that's where the balancing, the giving and taking comes with running two channels is like, that was Retro Rebound time. I wanted to put my 2 cents in on Metal Gear Solid 2 and then pick up MGS3 remake maybe in October or something like that. But Trails in the Sky remake, been playing it for a decent amount now. And they did it, man. Yeah, it's really good. Like it looks really great. It immediately is one of those games where you're like, oh, this is where all the budget went. Because you can feel that with Falcom games. They're like an independent team. But this is the one you start with. You've put up with my Trails conversations for a long while. This is the one you start with, okay? Sky is the beginning of it all. This is the first chapter. By the way, before I go any further, it has leaked already that they are remaking the second chapter of Sky. Yes, you probably want to get into this one to play that one, but for the love of God, do not look at this trailer or this leak with curiosity. When I say they spoil like the whole first game immediately, oh yeah, they do. You do not want to know how things turn out. I say that because Sky is also Sky 1 is one of my least favorite Trails games. This does improve a lot of elements of it, but it's still like the same Sky 1 narrative. And Sky 1 is a nostalgic, simple, positive game. Cozy. It's kind of how a lot of people describe Dragon Quest. And I think the way it ends is really good. But to me, it's like you're a bracer doing odd jobs and like you're just someone helping out in this world. And it's very cool for what it is. But when you're like me and you've seen where the series gets to, even in the next game, Sky second chapter is like a top 3 Trails game for me. It's fucking amazing. But this is where we get into Sky Remake. It is the admission that without Sky, and I mean this for every entry in the series, there is none of this. Not just because, it's the first one, humble beginnings. Like, I mean, for so many games, this one and its lore is deeply referenced. So if you are looking at it like, I know these other games are better, or I want to get into these other games, trust me when I say you want the foundational knowledge of this for everything else to hit. It's so deeply important. And it's worth it. The game looks great. It plays great. The new combat system that is very much inspired by Trails Through Daybreak or Trails through the Trails from the Horizon. Like, it is a hybrid of those. It is action combat, but it's also turn-based combat. It's still got the incredible Trails in the Sky soundtrack. This is exactly what y'all were waiting for. Like this type of thing where you don't have to deal with one of the beautiful things about Falcom games is they don't feel old. Maybe navigation wise a little bit, like now you have like waypoints and a little bit more guidance tools, and that's great and all, but it's just surreal running around these environments with a game that I only played in 2022, but I'm already deeply nostalgic for. It is such simple beginnings, and that's part of the charm, but it is also so cozy, and the writing quality has been good. And I say that because I was a little worried about modern Falcom's anime writing infesting the game. And there's like one line that I'll just say, "You're not trying to swoon your sister, are you?" And I'm like, brother, if I had a sister and this chick fucking talked to me like that, I'd be like, check yourself into a psych ward, because I don't know what kind of swoon. What are we doing here? They got a little of that shit in this game. It always, to me, will be the Achilles heel of the franchise as you get deeper into it, because in the originals, the Trail Sky 1 to Azure, really excluding Azure, because I think Azure starts to indulge into it as well. But really, Sky 1 to 0 are like mature, well-written role-playing games. Like they're still JRPGs and still have that tone and that charm, don't get me wrong, but they don't get into the fan servicey bullshit. And Sky Remake even just like flirts with it a little bit. And I know some of the fans like it, but for me, it's so distracting because it's forced. If it's natural, sure, but it's forced. Because they're like, you like this, don't you? But anyway, that shit aside, like Trail series is one of the best written, honestly, gaming franchises of all time. It's incredible how much the lore matters here. It's kind of what you hope other games do when they take their lore seriously. But yeah, like I said, looks good. Excellent turn-based combat. They add in like link attacks now, so you can like target enemy weaknesses and then tag in like your partner and have them follow up. It's a really well animated game too. The speed of which it goes at is good, which has been a problem with Trails in the past, so you don't really need the turbo mode. It's a bigger game than the original. It's also doing something interesting, which is teasing future stuff in the original. So given that they're remaking Sky, no doubt they're going to remake Sky 3. I think they're going to remake Zero Azure. I think they're going to remake up until Cold Steel 2, because that's when the series kind of gets on a flat line in that right now I'm playing Sky Remake, and my first thought is this. If someone binges the series, unless they're a diehard fan, they're going to have some trouble, because Sky Remake sets a very high quality bar that's there with, Daybreak 1 and on. Like Falcom really leveled up there. They leveled up their visuals, their animations. They leveled up how much voice acting gets packed in their game, which we'll answer a question on that in a second. They really leveled all of that up. But when you go back to these older games and they're not voiced, or they're sprite-based games, or they're selectively voiced, or there's not fully produced cutscenes, or they're, in the case of Cold Steel 1 and 2, running around like Lego characters, it starts to feel very old and dated. And so I do think there's a world where they remake up into those games every year. So with that, I mentioned one of these subjects in our write-ins. It's from I Need a Poo, Mr. Magoo. Great name. It says, hey, Dukes. This one's mainly for Maddie. Anticipation for Trails Remake. I played through Daybreak 1, and although it is a great game, there's one aspect that irritates me. The VO implementation. In a major story beat, one character is voiced for maybe 3 lines and then nothing. Randomly, 2 minutes later, someone else has a single voiced line. What the hell is this? Either voice the game or don't. It's so immersion breaking. This wasn't mentioned in either of your Daybreak 1 or 2 reviews, so does it not bother you? Have a playing Tales of Vesperia, and it's fully voiced, so why can't Atlas or Falcom get it done kind of day? All right, well, the why of it is because out of all the companies you just mentioned, Falcom's independent and has the least money. They have more money now because I think Daybreak or Sky Remake's going to do really well. So when money's a problem and you still want to voice your game and you want to keep the cutscenes, the dialogue engaging, the way I read it is that they're trying to keep you mentally hooked, where it's like, who's going to talk next? Also, they're just, I call them key lines. Like, these are big lines that should be voiced, but we can't voice all of them. This is a complaint that I had when I first started the series. I thought it was really weird with Cold Steel 1 and 2. Didn't really like it. And frankly, I don't still like it at all. It's just like a compromise. Like, yeah, this is the game. This is what the series is. And it's not like it's absent in Sky Remake, but it's better. Like, I think what they try to do with Trails is they set the tone. Like, the characters talk to open the conversation. You're invested, and then you kind of read the rest. It's a little off balance. I think the implementation is definitely unique to this series, and it's going to strike some of you weird out there. But you get used to it, and you don't think much of it. And usually these voices, I think, are good for putting the character's voice in your head. So when you hear them, there's a tone of which you're reading it in, and it informs some of your imagination. That's the best I got for you. Otherwise, on the critical front, yeah, it's off balance. It doesn't feel great. It definitely feels like, budget limitations. And Falcom are very, very selective spenders. No matter what publisher they've worked with, they're very selective spenders. And I think it's because they have tight deadlines at their team. They get games out every year. Like, keep in mind, I'm going to play and beat Trails in the Sky Remake, and then next year, I think it's February or January, I can't remember the exact window, the next mainline Trails game is out. Like, they release games, and they had East come out recently. They release games at a insane pace that I think is worth the trade-off. Because once you're in, you don't have to wait for the next chapter in your story. You wait a year tops, and you get it. No ifs, ands, or buts. Now, there are different stories you'll like more than others. For example, for me, I did not like the recent chapter really at all. I thought Daybreak 2 was compromised. I mean, the game was made in like 11 months, so I get it. But they've had better dev cycles where they haven't had to rush these things, and you can feel when they're given time. Sky Remake is a game they took their time on. The next one coming up, Beyond the Horizon. Oh boy. Oh my God, does that look like they took their time on it? It looks fucking incredible. I am so excited. I'm more excited for that than Sky Remake, to be honest with you, because I've played Sky before, so it's just me indulging in my nostalgia and my love of the series. But yeah, I get the frustration here, Mr. Magoo. You get used to it is what I would tell you. I don't think it should be a deterrent for the series at all, but it's something if anyone gets bothered by it, it's a warning shot for you. But otherwise, nothing to really, I think, stay away from. But otherwise, you're going to get some of the best-in-class turn-based combat because of like the follow-up attacks, the weakness targeting, the magic system, the craft system, just all very unique to Trails, and it's better looking than ever. So I just hope y'all check it out. If you do, let me know what you're thinking in some write-ins next week because, like I said, this is the big one. This is the one that I'm telling you all. Like, I've talked about all these Trails games, and I've said every time, no, don't start here. Like, you could. If you came to me, can I start the Crossbell Arc and Zero? I'd be like, fine. Can I start at Cold Steel Arc? Fine. Mr. Magoo, starting at Daybreak. The way you're writing it reads like that. I could be wrong, but you said, in anticipation for the remake, I played Daybreak 1. I'm like, you jumped to the latest chapter in the story to understand the beginning of the game. Oh, no. That's deeply concerning. But nonetheless, glad you're here. But there's certain exceptions I can make for starting points. But if you want the ideal starting point, like Sir Bradley Ellis was waiting for, this is it, right? And it looks like you're going to be treated to the same thing that we've been treated to for a while, which is that Falcom's going to keep up a pretty annualized schedule, it looks like, if they're already leaking the Sky SC remake trailer, I'm imagining next year, and that means like get on board. Get on board with this annual journey and you will not be displeased, I feel. And if they remake Sky 3, that's going to be beautiful. And Zero is my favorite in the franchise. If they remake that, I will be a very happy camper, which I think they will. Because again, Falcom's like masters of these asset reusages. They have a great content library. And we'll just say a lot of these locations in the Trails franchise are very recurrent, where some of the hard work is done already. All right. That's what I'm playing this week. Thanks for the write-ins. Final segment of the show here is Game Pass. Coming soon to Xbox Game Pass. All this is out by the time you're listening, outside of September 19th and on for those of you who are patrons. September 17th, you're getting Modern Warfare 3, For the King 2, and Overthrown in the standard tier of Game Pass for consoles. September 17th, you're also getting Deep Rock Galactic Survivor on the Ultimate tier, PC tier, and standard tier for console, PC, and cloud. On September 18th, Frostpunk 2 comes to consoles on Ultimate and PC. Wobbly Life is Series X and S and PC. And Hades arrives on Game Pass September 19th. That's on the Ultimate tier, console, PC, cloud. Endless Legend arrives on the service September 22nd on PC via the Ultimate tier as well. Sworn arrives on Game Pass on September 23rd on Series X and S, PC, and cloud via the Ultimate and PC tier. September 25th, you get the following: Peppa Pig World Adventures on Series X and S, PC, and cloud via the Ultimate, PC, and standard tiers. So interesting there, seeing the kid games getting in on the standard tier. Pretty important, I think, for the youngins buying into Game Pass. Visions of Mana also arrives on September 25th, Series X and S, PC, and cloud via the Ultimate, PC, and standard tier. September 30th, Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light, console, PC, cloud via the Ultimate, PC, and standard tier. And October 7th brings you SOPA, console, PC, cloud, Ultimate, PC tier. Okay. Looking at this here, Frostpunk 2 calling my name the most. Don't think I got the time for it, though, because of all the shit that's coming out. That'd be the one that calls my name. Recommendation here as well would also be Hades. Love to see Visions of Mana here, but Hades is also just like an excellent roguelike game. Hades 2 obviously coming out just the following week. So if you want to catch up on what the magic's all about as part of your Game Pass subscription, check out Hades, now part of the standard tier. So it's at the lowest level. Leaving Xbox Game Pass, which will transition us beautifully into our Game Pass pick of the week. All these are exiting the service September 30th. Ninja Gaiden Sigma, Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge, and Terra Invicta, which is only on PC. So, your Game Pass pick of the week here is Ninja Gaiden. I don't know what's going on here, and I don't know why Koei Tecmo would want this to leave the service, because I think Ninja Gaiden 4, if the preview I went through was anything to go off of, is going to kick a lot of ass. And if you have the opportunity to bring people like deeper into the fold, I think maybe their thought process could be, well, we can get people to pay for it. Maybe buy the Master Collection or something. I don't know. But I want more people to see the greatness of this series. Now, yes, as many will note, Sigma 2, Razor's Edge. I know, like, people have an issue with Sigma. No doubt you still have Ninja Gaiden 2 Black on the service. But at least I would say, if I'm going to narrow down my Game Pass pick of the week, Ninja Gaiden Sigma. You know, like, see the original, see the essence, see where it all began. It's still aged so well. It's definitely a lot easier. You'll definitely be able to beat it a lot simpler than playing just like OG Ninja Gaiden Black, which fucking put hair on my chest as a kid. That shit kicked my ass. But what you've got here are some of the most iconic ninja games. Do this one for Lord Cognito. Play his rival game. But in all seriousness, man, like Ninja Gaiden, Sigma, the whole series is great. Razor's Edge really fixes up 3 nicely. Like, they're all such fun games at the end of the day. And I think if you're into what 4 is doing, get caught up with the speed of the series, the difficulties of the series, the pros and cons, like some great boss fights, some not so great ones. Like, get to know this one. These games are decent lengths, like around the 10 plus hour length, but they're all now with fixes and everything really good. I got a lot of love for this series, and I think a lot of you will appreciate these action video games. They were staples of my childhood, well into the 360. The only one I was late to was Ninja Gaiden 3 because it was really bad at launch until Razor's Edge came around, which I wasn't aware of because I think that came to the Wii U first. But nonetheless, that's what's leaving Game Pass and what you should be playing on Game Pass this week if you're looking for things to do over the weekend. A quick firing up of Ninja Gaiden Sigma would not be a bad play. Get in while the going's hot and play all of this before Ninja Gaiden 4, late October. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that wraps us up. It's just me. I appreciate those of you who bared with what looks like, I think, an hour and a half of just me. Oh, I gotta stretch. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. I'm dying out here. I got more recording to do after this too, which is funny, but I'm going to go rest my voice and get hydrated without talking for a while. So I'm immediately like washing away all the hydration. But hey, in all seriousness, I do appreciate everyone being here, tolerating me for a little extra time, a little solo Maddie time. So thank you for listening. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. The hashtag, of course, it's got to be Riding Solo DD. I mean, I had to do this one on my own after Lord Cognito made his trip to NYC to cover a little something we'll talk about in a few weeks. But otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, I'm at G27status on Twitter. Please still tag Lord Cognito on Twitter. He's at Lord Cognito. Use the hashtag #RidingSoloDD. Let us know your thoughts on the episode. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, take excellent care of yourselves. Thanks for being here. And I'll see you next week with episode 247 of Defining Duke and Xbox Podcast. Peace out.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.